that point, video shows her running from the station, and giving chase is Commander Ronald Burgess Jr. He's the police chief's son.
Hit my head against the brick outside the village.
Grandmothers, grandfathers, and anybody else, in my opinion, can be considered thugs too. Just because you're a certain age.
More nonsense coming out of Dalton and the supermayor, where she hired a new police chief illegally, and this dude has quite a past. In fact, this dude actually ran for mayor of Dalton and lost to Tiffany Henyard. But now she decided to put him in, and we're going to see why it's probably a bad idea because, again, like I said, this guy has quite a past.
Dalton police officers voted no confidence in Deputy Chief Louis Lacey. A new top cop has now been appointed. Ronald Burge Sr. He ran against current Mayor Tiffany Henyard back in 2021 and formerly served as police chief in Dixmoor. The former Dalton Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey was indicted on bankruptcy fraud charges.
Okay, so this guy right here, Ronald Burge Sr. Here we go. Here we go. This is the man that Mayor Henyard decided to hire, despite the situation that going on with her previous deputy chief, Louis Lacey, with the no confidence vote. So Henyard's appointment of Burge Sr. is alarming, considering his controversial history in Dixmoor, where he previously served as chief. This appointment raised immediate red flags, especially given Burge's track record of supporting his son, Commander Burge Jr., who has a string of misconduct allegations. Again, is this the kind of leadership Dalton needs during this chaotic and critical time? Let's see what kind of police chief this guy is.
The state's attorney's office was not truthful in what happened.
Dixmoor Police Chief Ronald Burge Sr. releasing this video showing 66-year-old Carla Bourgeois entering a secured area of the Dixmoor police station with her cell phone out. You can hear police tell her that she's under arrest. Her grandson was in custody and she was there to see him. At that point, video shows her running from the station, and giving chase is Commander Ronald Burgess Jr. He's the police chief's son.
While he was trying to take her into custody, she's shorter than he is. She grabbed him in his private parts and refused to let go. At that point, he picked her up.
Hit my head against the brick outside the village. He then took me inside the village hall and he bumped my head several times.
The chief didn't release the rest of the video, but prosecutors say Burgess Jr. grabbed the 66-year-old and dragged her by the neck and chest back into the station, slamming her head against a wall at least 3 times.
So the first red flag there is the chief did not show the entire video. Not good. Not good. If you are completely correct in what the narrative that you're putting out there, chief, or former chief, or I guess the chief of Dalton, whatever, why didn't you show the whole video of exactly what happened? This is like a very big dude chasing a small 66-year-old woman running away with a cell phone. Again, if that's exactly what you said, it'd be easy to show it on video. So the problem is with this situation is not only she was physically assaulted by the officer of the law, but the video footage was conveniently edited by Burge Sr. to hide the worst of his son's actions. I don't know what other reason why you would not show the entire video. It's all about transparency. In fact, I can see why Mayor Henyard decided to hire this person. The fact that Mayor Henyard would hire someone that tries to stand by their family regardless of what they are doing is not a good idea. Burge Jr.'s violent behavior isn't an isolated incident. It's a part of a broader pattern of misconduct that plagued the Burge family, being shielded by his father. Again, is this the kind of man Henyard has entrusted to lead Dalton's police force?
The state's attorney's office was not truthful.
Rest of and dragged at least of herself from the. She took her head against a wall at least 3 times. She took these photos of herself from the October incident.
He was attempting to hold her against the wall. He had his arm on the wall, her there. Her head never hit the wall, if that's what they're talking about.
Where's the video? Show the entire video. Don't need to edit it. Let's see. There's accusations of the abuse. We can't just go by your word. The video would show it. Why didn't you show the whole video?
Bourgeois says the commander chased her after demanding she give her phone.
I was going to lose it. I thought I was going to pass out.
They have a background. So grandmothers, grandfathers, and anybody else, in my opinion, can be considered thugs too. Just because you're a certain age does not mean that you don't believe and do.
I am not a thug. I am a very professional woman. I go to work every day and I take care of my family. And I don't need anybody to disgrace me as my character.
What that has to do with the fact that you won't show the entire video. I don't understand the labels of calling each other a thug or whatnot. Okay, she ran away. Your son chased her. We don't see the rest of what happened. It looks like he overdid it. Seemed like he had a bit of an anger problem. And again, if you say that no one got their head smashed in, where's the video? So that kind of shows that it looks like something that may have happened that may fall into the bucket of misconduct, not a justifiable arrest. But again, let's see if there's more issues with this son of his.
There are new allegations of misconduct against the South Suburban Dixmoor police commander, who's already facing aggravated battery charges.
WGN's Julian Cruz is at the criminal courts building with news of another potential victim. Julian.
Micah, the police commander in question, already accused of dragging a 66-year-old grandmother through a police station parking lot earlier this month. Now the same Dixmoor police commander is facing new accusations, this time by another South Suburban citizen, accusations of misconduct.
I don't understand why they don't see this. It's an issue with this guy.
So another disturbing story here. So Commander Burge Jr., again, his son, didn't just face one accusation. You see, there's multiple accusations of misconduct from different citizens. It gets to a point where, is this just all baseless claims? Or it's a part of a growing body of evidence that suggests a pattern of abuse of power. Maybe this guy shouldn't be a cop.
Rumon Terry describing his 2019 encounter with Ronald Burge Jr., the South Suburban Dixmoor police commander, already facing criminal charges for allegedly chasing down 66-year-old Carla Bourgeois. The recent incident captured on police department surveillance cameras. Cook County prosecutors accusing the 6'3", 230-pound Burge of slamming Bourgeois' head into a wall.
I got to go to court Friday dealing with this guy.
Now it's Rumon Terry raising questions about what he says was an excessive use of force back in 2019 outside a Dixmoor cell phone store.
I'm still on the phone. He swings and hits me with the hand because he had the handcuffs in his hand. He swings and hits me and knocked the phone out my hand.
Terry describing his harrowing encounter with Commander Burge, a situation that escalated from words in a Dixmoor parking lot to an arrest for allegedly blocking a loading zone and being a public nuisance.
The public nuisance ticket, I don't even understand what that was. I never was disrespectful to the officer, but I did have words back and forth with him, asking him, why is he trying to tow my car?
Both Terry and his nephew were arrested for no valid reason, they say.
I ended up having to pay like $800 and some to get my car back.
So we're seeing more accounts of misconduct or alleged misconduct here from multiple people in multiple situations. So we have another victim here who was wrongfully arrested alongside his nephew. Not only they were arrested without cause, but they also were forced to pay significant fees to get their property back. But again, this is not just about incompetent policing. It's about a systematic issue of abuse of authority that continues to harm innocent citizens. It looks like this dude has a problem with de-escalation. It looks like what he does is just continues to escalate if he doesn't get his way as soon as possible. So this incident, like so many others, points to his culture of lawlessness and corruption under the Burge family's leadership at the time that he was the police chief in Dixmoor.
And Terry faced with fines and lost time from work going to court to fight the charges.
My client is he's going to plead not guilty.
Burge's lawyer, Robert Willis, at the Layton Criminal Courts building today, taking few questions from reporters. The Dixmoor officer going before.
That's a big dude right there. That's a big dude. You think with just with the size, you don't necessarily need to physically handle everybody or every situation. You should be able to use more effective policing tactics like using the ability to de-escalate situations. But again, multiple people, multiple situations, it's not a good look.
For a Cook County judge today for the case involving the 66-year-old woman.
I am very proud of my son.
Burge's father, Dixmoor's police chief, Ronald Burge Sr., earlier this month defending his son, telling reporters that there's more to the story. But Police Chief Burge not answering our questions today.
Well, it looks like the jury had enough of a story to convict him of 2 counts of aggravated battery and 1 count of official misconduct. So there you go. It's not surprising that Burge Sr. will continue to defend his son despite a lot of evidence of misconduct. But the problem is there may be some issues with his ability to be a police chief or even a police officer if he can't hold his own son's violent actions accountable. So instead of demanding accountability for his son's violent actions and some of these cover-ups that have been involved, it shows that, again, Henyard's ability to pick the best people is just not working. This is a failure of leadership. By appointing someone like Burge Sr., who enables and defends such behavior, Henyard is showing the community in Dalton that police misconduct will be tolerated under her administration. Again, all you have to do is just look back to all the things that Louis Lacey did.
Terry says that he and his nephew went to the Cook County Jail. They spent a couple of nights here at the jail on what they say was a bogus and unwarranted arrest. At the Layton Criminal Courts building, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
And we also have another story here based in Dixmoor that happened 3 years ago when Burge Sr. was the police chief. Dixmoor trustees can't sue village for police chief's alleged campaign of harassment versus mayor's opponents. So many patterns. A federal judge has rejected for now an attempt by 2 Dixmoor village trustees to sue their village government for intimidation and mistreatment they claim they suffered at the hands of the village police department as political retaliation amid an alleged top-down conspiracy involving the village's mayor. So you can see a federal judge has temporarily dismissed this part of a lawsuit by the Dixmoor trustees. So the trustees accused Dixmoor police chief Ronald Burge Sr. and his son, Commander Ronald Burge Jr., and several officers of engaging in a campaign of harassment aimed at political retaliation out of the direction of Dixmoor Mayor Davis, although she was not named as a defendant. The lawsuit alleged that the police officers surveilled, followed, and improperly arrested the trustees and their associates. It also accused officers of making threatening comments, issuing bogus citations, and spreading false allegations about Roberts, including claims that he was under FBI investigation. Burge Sr. has been fired previously for misconduct, but was rehired in 2017 by Mayor Davis. All this sounds so familiar, like another situation that's happening in a different village. The trustees' claims included violation of equal protection, false arrest, malicious prosecution, defamation, and racketeering. However, the judge ruled that the plaintiffs had not sufficiently demonstrated that the officers were acting under the village policy or custom to allow such behavior, dismissing the lawsuit against the village without prejudice. The judge gave the trustees time to amend their complaint and provide more proof of a systematic conspiracy rather than isolated acts by rogue officers. So this is the person that Tiffany Henyard wants to be as her police chief. It's just more of the same. It looks like there's probably some loyalty between her, obviously some other people that may be involved, maybe Lacey as well. If you saw all this information, why would you think that this guy would be the best pick to be Dalton's police chief? I know I sound like a broken record here, but it was another chaotic Thornton Township meeting. There's no doubt about it. Now, before we talk about how this meeting just went to a dramatic end, let's talk about the back and forth between the supervisors and Tiffany Henyard. Now, in this meeting, Trustee Jones and Trustee Gray were not present. So we had Trustee Carlisle, Trustee Gonzalez, and Tiffany Henyard. So obviously, they went back and forth on many things. As the meeting opened, one of the key points of contention evolved around the township bingo events. Trustees raised concerns about the township spending too much money on extravagant prizes for these games, questioning whether it's responsible use of funds, and actually if it's even legal at all. But rather than address those financial concerns directly, Tiffany Henyard shifted the focus, trying to frame bingo as something much bigger.
The prizes for bingo are being purchased by Thornton Township, and now there's a question as to whether each person receiving a gift over or a prize over $600 should fill out a 1099 form. And so we haven't received a final answer on that. And so I think it's important that until we get the final details, we pause on those things. And let's say, for instance, you know, we don't know the findings, but just ethically, we have to ask ourselves questions. Should we be doing this? Yes, bingo is a great opportunity for seniors to come and to participate and have, you know, fun amongst their peers. However, there is a lot of money being spent on bingo, and what are we doing to you know, improve our entitlement programs? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. And not only that, but seniors play a large part in the voters base. So bingo, us canceling bingo or pausing is not neglecting the seniors, and changing the rules is not disenfranchising the seniors as well. You know, we're just taking a moment to stop to make sure that the rules and laws are being followed.
All right, so as it relates to bingo, it's amazing how you guys all of a sudden want to stop something that has been going on since I've been the supervisor at Thornton Township.
She didn't hear a word of what she just said about the legality of it.
We don't think we can do it because it's gaming issues. So what do? We reached out to the gaming board, the revenue board, to make sure that we did not do what we supposed to.
It do change.
John announced this at the last board meeting that before we started bingo, we reached out to them. We reached out across the street to South Holland, and we followed every protocol possible so that residents can have bingo. Because bingo is more than just prizes like they're trying to make it about. It's about love. It's about community. It's about unity. It's about everybody loving on each other throughout
It's about
Thornton
them
Township.
cheating
That's
them
what
taxes.
bingo's about. Y'all missing the point. It got nothing to do with prizes. Because guess what? Even though they had prizes, they were still down here packed. It was packed. And y'all didn't come. And you would have saw that, and you would have heard from them. And then anybody down here that wanted to talk as related to bingo, because I invited the residents out, so just so you can see what I deal with when I'm fighting for things for you that you really love and enjoy doing.
We hear this all the time.
Before, y'all didn't have nothing like that. Nothing.
But let's pause here. Love, community, those are some words, but is it just a smokescreen? Henyard deflects and brush aside the real concerns about spending big prizes for these bingo events as if the only issue trustees had was that they didn't want the seniors to have fun. But let's be clear, the trustees aren't against the seniors. They're questioning why tax dollars are being used for these extravagant prizes. Henyard, instead of addressing those spending issues, goes for the emotional appeal. It's all about love. This is a classic deflection. It's almost like she's saying, if you're against my spending, you must be against the community. No. The supervisor needs to understand that the community can love bingo without you splurging on high-value prizes. The trustees wanted a real conversations about ethics and accountability, but she turned it around into some kind of sentimental plea to avoid the hard facts. One of the biggest surprises of the meeting is the fact that the lawyer actually had something to say, and in fact, he disagreed. During the meeting, there was an exchange between Tiffany Henyard and the township's lawyer about this new event ordinance. The lawyer calmly explained that due to the new rules, events like Gospel Fest need to be reapproved. However, the super mayor wasn't having it and quickly dismissed the lawyer's guidance, what kind of shows how she handles lawyers. She doesn't listen to anybody.
It's my understanding these events are being presented pursuant to the new event ordinance that was approved.
Okay, so if we already approved it, we don't have to reapprove it, correct? If the event was approved on August 24th of 2023, we don't have to reapprove?
No, what I said was these events are being presented to the board in compliance with the new event ordinance. That's my understanding.
As though it's new? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the new event ordinance that was just put into place at one of the prior meetings within the past month or so.
Right, so, okay, I just want to make sure we're crystal clear so they understand and I understand in the crowd. So by this already being approved in the old budget, it's safe to say it's already approved. I don't have to go back again before the board, correct?
Nope. Nope.
No, these matters are being brought before the board now to comply with the new event ordinance.
Right.
Because these are events that are to be approved pursuant to the new event ordinance.
Right, but only time that you have to go.
Hold on, let me hear what I want to hear what it's just bad advice.
Something new, and then whatever from that day moving forward is what you go from. So if this was already approved prior to, it should not be affected by what's new. It's already approved.
Lawyer, do your job.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Yes. Yes.
These events have to be approved pursuant to the event ordinance.
Okay.
She
so
mad.
I disagree with what the lawyer is saying.
Oh, you got your law degree.
Our township's lawyer is just laying down some facts, explaining that because of a new ordinance, previously approved events like Gospel Fest need to be reapproved. And what does Henyard do? She just dismisses the lawyer's advice entirely. She disagrees, as if these ordinances can just be shrugged off. The lawyer tries to explain that you have to follow the new rules, but Henyard insists you can't go backwards. But here's the thing, the law is the law. It's not about going backwards. It's about following procedures. And the thing is, Henyard just disregards any legal advice in a public meeting. So that shows that she probably ignores legal advice in private. It's about defiance. It's about her leadership style. It's reckless. If you don't follow the lawyer's counsel, what are you following? Another shocking revelation is Henyard admitting that a $3 million lawsuit was nearly lost by default because the township didn't have legal representation in court.
So are you guys going to make sure we got counsel? We gonna have coverage?
Don't
what
answer.
We doing so that we can go in court and
Right,
get
but
this
she can shut them
removed
down.
for the
She don't
$3
answer
million that we owe this individual because we didn't have counsel. So are we gonna move forward with that or are we not? What are we doing?
There's counsel here from LDS who can probably answer some questions that the board may have.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the board. There has not been a default judgment entered in this matter. The court has given the township and the individual defendant until October 31st to file a responsive pleading, either an answer or a motion to dismiss. So there is no default at this time.
So what she said was wrong.
Paperwork he got.
That matter was.
She said they lose him by default.
The judge put it over until the October 31st date.
Okay, so it got extended basically. So we got a default for 3 million because I know I saw that because my team showed it to me, and now it's extended for the day. Okay,
that's correct.
Well, there y'all answer. So what we gonna do now?
No, go ahead.
So, no, you go ahead, Chris.
You're too nice.
This kind of goes back to my previous question. So have you been working on this case already?
No, I have not, sir.
Okay. So that's because there was no representation?
That's because we have not been retained.
What else is new? And Henyard scrambled to explain why this critical issue was allowed to fall through the cracks. This is an admission that there's some serious mismanagement under her leadership. So again, the township didn't have legal counsel and no one showed up for a $3 million lawsuit. Henyard throws this bombshell out there like it's no big deal, but let's slow it down. This is $3 million of taxpayer money on the line, and the township didn't even show up to defend itself. Henyard tries to deflect, placing the blame on the trustees for not securing legal representation. But here's the thing. She's the supervisor. Isn't her job to ensure that her township is protected from legal disasters like this? There is no excuses for this. And the reason why this lawsuit is even filed in the first place is because of an employee that wanted to contact OSHA due to the food pantry boxes being littered with vermin, mice. And apparently, Keith Price, the one that's responsible for these food pantries, tried to threaten him, tried to intimidate him. And he decided to sue. The fact that this $3 million case was almost lost by default because of inaction is beyond irresponsible. How is she still defending this mess? Trustee Carlisle was aggressive against Tiffany Henyard. They were going back and forth throughout the entire meeting. She exposes details about Henyard's frequent taxpayer fund trips where township money was allegedly used to promote Henyard's brand. She describes about how these trips were more focused on self-promotion than serving the township, leading to some...
I welcome any investigation about any expenditure in Thornton Township's finances. I have no problem is sitting down and talking to an investigator about any of the purchases I made on behalf of Thornton Township for Supervisor Henyard and the multiple trips I booked for her. The hotel suites, the flights, the expensive dinners, you know, the different amenities that she received that were provided to her on behalf of Thornton Township residents. Yes, as she stated, I was her assistant, so I was on many of those trips. I was told by her to make sure she had 2 trips booked a month, nothing under 3 or 4 days. And I think that anybody who wants to know, any investigator who asks any questions should have any information about any trip, including but not limited to the shirts, the paraphernalia and flyers, and the promotional items that have been paid for with her face and her image on it by Thornton Township, details about her transportation, the travel plans, information about her security that she demanded to go with her everywhere she went. I welcome any investigation into any expenditure involving Tiffany Henyard and Keith Freeman's credit card. And I'm sure that Keith Freeman will also to answer any questions
Yes.
about this too, because again, we're open to being honest and transparent about anything that we've done for Thornton Township.
Henyard had trips booked on the township's dime, not once, but twice a month. And each of these trips lasted several days. This isn't a weekend conference we're talking about. This is a tax-funded luxury. And the crazy part is that these trips were filled with branded materials, shirts, paraphernalia, all with Henyard's big face on them. It's almost as if her public service role became a vehicle for self-promotion. It makes you wonder, was this travel for township business or a PR campaign for her personal brand? The level of self-interest here is staggering, and no amount of deflection can hide it. At multiple points during the meeting, Henyard continued to deflect any criticism by blaming the previous administration for the township's current challenges. This is a tactic that she uses often. Whenever the trustees bring up concerns about financial mismanagement or poor decision-making, Henyard was quick to remind everyone about the state of the township before she took office. Obviously, that didn't sit well with the room.
Township. Let me remind you, here in Thornton Township, Frank Zuccarelli had this seat for 30 years, 29 to be exact. His name was on everything. You guys know, whoever the leader is, your name goes in place of their name. If you're the mayor, the supervisor, your name is the one that everyone sees for that town or city. So that's what I mean about hate and jealousy. Because nobody cared before when it was Frank. Did y'all make any noise? Did y'all say let's remove this person's name? Y'all made a fake ordinance to make it like y'all fake in charge. Y'all are not in charge of anything. So please stop with the antics when we come here to these board meetings. I am the leader for Thornton Township. I am the supervisor of Thornton Township. And I'm going to make sure y'all give me my respect and stop playing the game. Because all these games need to stop. When I came to Thornton Township, that's my personal place, I'm staying for this, just so we can hear y'all in the back. When I came to Thornton Township, y'all had a $4.5 million deficit when I got here. $4.5 million deficit. Since me taking over, you have a surplus of $9.8 million today. Today. Surplus. Y'all need to report the facts and stop the clip that. I'm tired of that. So don't get facts and everybody just stop sitting here just saying things that ain't true.
Like I said, it's blame the last administration. That's the card she continuously pull. Henyard tries to shift focus away from her questionable decisions by reminding everyone about the financial mess she claims to inherit. We don't have a lot of proof that that's actually true. She could throw around the deficit numbers and that's all good, but it doesn't erase the fact that under her watch, there's been complete chaos. Again, remember, it's a $3 million lawsuit that's nearly lost. This isn't about fixing the past, it's about the accountability right now in her administration. The trustees, concerned about the fiscal responsibility, repeatedly tried to get Henyard to discuss township spending practices. Yet, instead of engaging in that conversation, Henyard accused them of trying to stop progress. This accusation was her way of brushing aside valid concerns and shifting the narrative to make it seem like the trustees were standing in the way of success.
You guys always want to stop progress. That's the problem I got.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all want to stop things that actually are huge success, because I don't see none of y'all bringing in numbers like that. And y'all been here longer than me. So when I came, we created this for our residents, and it's been a huge
Don't tell me what to do on my life. Go to another life.
They come here, they get a cooked meal that they enjoy. Little do y'all know, some of the meals are people only meal for the day. But yet you want to stop bingo because you think it's such.
If you want to hear her rants, you go on somebody else's life.
It's more than that. And Carmen knows that because she was down with her taking it. So was Jerry Jones. And Chris, you come for the photo op, so I don't know. But all I'm saying is that I just appreciate if you guys will take a step back, look in the mirror, and say, hey, I got to do what's right for the people. And make sure that the people benefit from bingo like they have always done, and not change that all of a sudden because, again, it's election time.
This is just classic Tiffany Henyard. When the trustees raise legitimate concerns, whether the township funds are being spent responsibly, Henyard spins it into an attack on progress. She frames it like the trustees don't want to support the community, but the trustees are asking for financial responsibility. But instead of addressing that head on, Henyard accuses them of stopping progress. This tactic isn't just frustrating, it's manipulative. By turning every critique into attack on progress, she avoids answering the real questions. It's not about stopping bingo, it's not about stopping Gospel Fest, it's about whether the township is running these events within legal and ethical standards. As the meeting progressed, the criticism of Henyard continues. She always pulls out this deflection tactic, blaming it all on the upcoming election. Instead of addressing the trustees' concerns, Henyard suggests that all this scrutiny is all politically motivated, calling herself the victim of this election year smear campaign.
Because again, it's election time, so we got to stop anything going great in Thornton Township. Because remember, when I got here, y'all numbers was down. When I got here, all the numbers went up due to what? Being productive, making sure that we're available for the people. That's what it's all about.
Deflecting everything as political sabotage is lazy and is insulting to the people who generally want accountability from their elected officials. Instead of taking ownership, she uses this election as a shield, hoping people won't see through the fog. And now let's talk about how the meeting ended. It was through public comments, and Paul Roberts, a man that frequently speaks at these events, had this to say. And I want to show you exactly what she said. I want you to put in the comments below, what do you think? Was this worth stopping the meeting for, in terms of, was it something so outrageous that Henyard had to have basically 3 of her goons kind of walk up to him and basically try to intimidate him while he's speaking at the podium?
Don't act the same way.
Good evening, neighbors, trustees, and especially supervisors. I've paid attention to our supervisor for a year now, and regret that she does not pay much attention to the people she is supposed to serve. Instead, she insists that she is about loving on people, while calling all those who criticize her haters wearing double horns. She stubbornly believes that she is still in control of the board meetings both here and in Dalton. She continues to campaign at our expense for another item in both governments, when her constituents' biggest question is how come she is still in office. We have 7 more months to endure before a new supervisor is inaugurated. So I asked the supervisor, using the words of Trustee Jones, is it too late for you to do the right thing for the people? The purpose of my comment this evening is to ask the supervisor to work with the trustees reasonably. Reason is the ability God gave humans to make us superior to the rest of the animals. Elephants and whales have a much better sense of hearing than a human, but it's ridiculous trying to ask an elephant or a whale about the best way to distribute 9 million tax dollars between 155,000 people. A dog has much better sense of smell than a human. But if it poops inside your house, you don't expect the dog to apologize to you, nor do you expect the dog to respond to constructive criticism. By definition, an animal does not respond to reason. The only ways that humans can interact with them are to feed the animal, pet the animal, or give it a whack in the snout. This is my way of saying that the residents of Thornton Township can no longer afford the feeding and petting of the supervisor. Does the supervisor have an alternative to getting a whack
Security! Security, you need to do something. You gonna sit up here and let him intimidate this man in public comment? You need to do something, security. You need to do something. You need to do something. You need to get them out of here. You bogus as hell. You sit here, you gonna let him intimidate this man? You gonna let him physically intimidate him?
Now, the first thing I would say is the security was terrible. It's as if it was on purpose. They didn't try to stop things. Things could have went out of hand very quickly, and the security was god awful. I don't see how they're able to secure anything. I mean, this one dude, Green, he looked out of it. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was on something. The fact that he had no sense of urgency when there's a potential for a violent confrontation can happen, and he had no ability to secure the room. He had no ability to de-escalate anything. Also, during the meeting, when people called things out, heckled, if you want to call it that way, Henyard was quick to stop it if it was against her. But someone heckled Trustee Carlisle, and she didn't stop it at all.
About that. That's not the time or place, but for her to sit here and say that, I wasn't her assistant, and why was I spending money on behalf? And excuse me,
Shut up, these are people. These are people.
Security.
She worked for the township?
So this was another crazy township meeting. At this point, this is par for the course. There's nothing much that's seriously changing here. Obviously, the trustees are fighting back. They're going back and forth with Supervisor Henyard, but I do believe that she does have some level of support. Maybe, and because I was surprised, I didn't see a lot of people at this meeting compared to meetings in the past. I know it was raining a lot in that area, but at the same time, there were people there, and I know a lot of people say it's paid actors. I think, especially when I saw that footage of her last bingo event, there are people who are supporting Tiffany Henyard as a supervisor. That's something that the other trustees and the people who want to be supervisor next year, they're going to have to work themselves out and try to figure out what's going on with that, because I think she does have a contingent of supporters that will vote for her. Maybe people who are big fans of maybe people who are big fans of that big bingo. It's going to be another contentious meeting, and I'm sure the next meeting will be just as contentious. Hopefully they have better security, because that was downright embarrassing and dangerous when you have people who are not, when you have security guards that cannot de-escalate situations, because that could have went really, really crazy. Tiffany Henyard is really mad. She posted this 10 hours ago, pretty upset. And we're going to talk about why she is so upset right now with the situation that happened in Dalton with her appointment of Michael Smith as the village administrator, appointing Ronnie Burge as the police chief, and the village attorney, I think her name is Angela Lockett. There's some recent issues that's been going on with that, where there's a temporary restraining order, so she's pretty upset. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the Thornton Township lawsuit, the $3 million lawsuit that was discussed in the meeting. I'll show you a little bit about that right now. Another shocking revelation is Henyard admitting that a $3 million lawsuit was nearly lost by default because the township didn't have legal representation in court.
So are you guys going to make sure we got counsel? We gonna have coverage?
Don't answer.
So that you can go in court and get this removed for the $3 million that we owe this individual because we didn't have counsel. So are we gonna move forward with that, or are we not? What we doing?
There's counsel here from LDS who can probably answer some questions that the board may have.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the board. There has not been a default judgment entered in this matter. The court has given the township and the individual defendant until October 31st to file a responsive pleading, either an answer or a motion to dismiss. So there is no default at this time.
So what she said was wrong.
The paperwork he got.
That matter was.
She said they lose him by default.
The judge put it over until the October 31st day.
Okay, so it got extended basically. So we got a default for $3 million, because I know I saw that because my team showed it to me, and now it's extended for the day. Okay,
that's correct.
Well, there y'all answer. So what we gonna do now?
So, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead.
So, no, you go ahead, Chris.
You're too nice.
This kind of goes back to my previous question. So have you been working on this case already?
No, I have not, sir.
Okay. So that's because there was no representation?
That's because we have not been retained.
What else is new? So I want to show you guys exactly what happened in this lawsuit, this case right here involving Keith Price, threatening and intimidating employees while Tiffany Henyard allows it. So let's get into it. As you can see, the employee is named Gerald Jones, and this is the son of Township trustee Jerry Jones, and he is going after the township Keith Price. You can see his name right there in his individual and official capacity. You see the defendant, Thornton Township, defendant Keith Price, and you also see Tiffany Henyard, and you see Keith Freeman there as well. So let's get into the background of exactly what is going on here. So Jones has been working for the township for about 10 years. So this case involves Gerald Jones, the former employee of Thornton Township, who is suing Thornton Township, Keith Price, and others for retaliated discharge, among other claims. This lawsuit describes how, after reporting a mice infestation at the Township Food Assistance Program to OSHA, Jones was harassed, threatened, and retaliated against by the Food Assistance Program manager. Jones also highlights the toxic work environment fostered by Price and Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, further accusing Thornton Township of widespread retaliation against employees who report unethical behavior. So we're going to see some of the abuse of power from Keith Price. Let's check it out. After Henyard was appointed supervisor of Thornton Township in March 2022, she installed her own allies within various roles in the Thornton Township, including Keith Price as Food Assistance Program Manager at the food pantry. Shortly after becoming Food Assistance Program Manager, it became obvious to Jones that Price was there simply to root out employees. No surprise there, Henyard wants people only loyal to her to work for her. If you're not loyal, if you have a mind of your own, and you criticize her or you report things that are unethical, she will boot you out. Jones was frequently harassed, mistreated, and threatened by Price between March 2022 and January 2023, and Price routinely made rude, degrading, and unprofessional comments towards Jones and other employees. If you've been around and you've seen a few of the township supervisor meetings, when you see Keith Price speaking in public meetings, there's no surprise that he's probably speaking this way privately to these employees. Additionally, since Price became the Food Assistance Program Manager, the food pantry began to experience a decline in overall quality and service to its clients. For instance, in and around December 2022, Jones noticed that there were mice in the food pantry, which posed a health and safety risk to the food pantry client. In December 2023, Jones reported finding mice to Price. Funny. Around January 3rd, 2023, after realizing nothing was being done to remedy the situation, Jones reported the matter to OSHA. On January 17, 2023, OSHA sent Jones a letter informing Jones that the food pantry had provided evidence that they had remedied the infestation, and thus Illinois OSHA considered the hazards Jones presented in his complaint to be corrected. However, after learning that Jones had filed a complaint with Illinois OSHA, the mistreatment from Price towards Jones intensified. On or about February 1st, 2023, while working at the food pantry, Price threatened Jones by stating something to the effect of if he wanted to go, quote unquote, outside, and then he was going to, quote unquote, beat him up, an interaction that was witnessed by other pantry workers. Additionally, after finding the mice infestation in the food pantry to Illinois OSHA, Jones was denied the ability to work overtime by Price, while others were given overtime, despite the fact in the past, Jones was given overtime opportunities. On other occasions, after filing his complaint with Illinois OSHA, Price would scream at Jones in front of other pantry workers and clients. Now, this is where things get crazy. The environment was so bad at the food pantry from January 2023 and onward that employees would openly carry firearms. Now, I'm not sure about the concealed carry laws. Should they be openly carrying firearms? They're not the police, so I don't know what's going on over there. In January 2023, a food pantry employee wrote on the chalkboard in the food pantry, "When I leave here, everyone will die," unquote. I don't really know what to say about that one. Who wrote that? Was it an employee? Was it Price? It just says employee, but that's kind of weird. On and about April 3rd, 2023, after fearing for his safety and being unable to endure any mistreatment from Price any longer, Jones quit the food pantry. Keith Price's actions are a prime example of what happens when power goes unchecked. As the Food Assistance Program Manager, Price wasn't just overseeing operations, he was terrorizing his employees. After Gerald Jones reported a mice infestation, Price's behavior towards him took a dark turn. Price allegedly made threatening remarks, including asking if they can go outside, threatening to beat him up. This is more than just someone just losing their cool. This is intimidation and workplace bullying of the highest order. What's worse, that this behavior didn't happen in private. It was witnessed by other employees, creating the toxic culture at Thornton Township that makes it impossible to ignore. When a manager feels empowered to harass an employee without fear of repercussions, it says volumes about the leadership and oversight, or the lack thereof, at Thornton Township. So we have to talk about Tiffany Henyard, the supervisor of Thornton Township. Her inaction is equally concerning, but again, not surprising. As the leader of Thornton Township, she had a duty to create a safe and fair work environment. Instead, she either turned a blind eye or actively supported Price's retaliatory actions, which is probably the latter. It's reported after Jones filed his OSHA complaint, Price started to deny him overtime and further harass him by screaming at him in front of other employees. This is not a rogue employee by Price. This is a part of a broader, well-known pattern of behavior that Henyard should have stopped. But it seems like she encouraged it. Henyard's failure to act only emboldened Price. By not addressing these toxic workplace conditions, Henyard essentially allowed Price to continue mistreating staff without consequences. So Gerald Jones wanted to get paid. So Jones has suffered a loss of income and significant emotional distress as a result of Thornton Township's retaliatory acts. Wherefore, Gerald Jones respectfully requests that a judgment be entered against the defendants, and he wants back pay in an amount of determined at trial, consequential damages, including for emotional distress, punitive damages, pre-judgment and post-judgment interest at the highest lawful rate, attorney's fees and costs of this action, any further relief as this honorable court finds reasonable. And that's where we are, where at this point, as you saw in the video I showed you earlier, no one showed up representing the township in this lawsuit. $3 million lawsuit, and not one person representing the township was there. What does that say about the leadership at the township? It is total chaos, total dysfunction, and the person leading it all is Tiffany Henyard.
I am Thornton Township. I'm the head. So with that being said, I will be represented. I don't care what they say up here or have an attitude about me being represented. Any other mayor, any other supervisor are always represented. And I keep telling you guys, you cannot sit here and let people attack the township. I am the leader for Thornton Township. I am the supervisor of Thornton Township. And I'm going to make sure y'all give me my respect.
So she could try to throw blame on why no lawyers showed up, and luckily they were able to delay this situation. But this shows how disjointed this whole situation is. So this matter hasn't been settled yet, but we'll definitely keep an eye out and see exactly what is the conclusion of this situation. But it doesn't look good for the township, particularly Keith Price and Tiffany Henyard. But let's get into the big reason why Tiffany Henyard is really upset, and she's really tight about what's going on. So this ongoing controversy in Dalton centers around Mayor Tiffany Henyard's alleged overreach and appointing key positions within the village without legally required consent of the Board of Trustees. At the heart of this case, what triggered this temporary restraining order is the firing of Keith Freeman and the hiring of Mr. Dodds, Michael Smith, his replacement, alongside Angela Lockett as village attorney and Ronnie Burge as police chief. This situation highlights a significant power struggle within Dalton government, raising legal and ethical questions about the proper use of authority in government. So you guys can see right here, Jason House, Brittany Norwood, Kiana Belcher, and Tammy Brown, the trustees of Dalton, versus Tiffany A. Henyard, individually and as mayor of the village of Dalton, Michael A. Smith, Angela Lockett, and Ronnie Burge Jr. So let's get into the facts of this case right here. Plaintiffs Jason House, Brittany Norwood, Kiana Belcher, and Tammy Brown are 4 of the 6 elected trustees of the village of Dalton that make up the majority of the Board of Trustees. Tiffany Henyard is the mayor of the village of Dalton. Keith Freeman is the duly appointed village administrator of the village of Dalton. Michael A. Smith, Angela Lockett, and Ronnie Burge are each individuals that were unlawfully appointed by the Mayor Henyard to positions within the village. Beginning in July 2024, Village Administrator Freeman started issuing directives to village employees to comply with certain laws and ordinances passed by the village board. For example, Freeman notified requests that all requests from Mayor Henyard for services, document, and deployment of resources were to be made in writing, directed department heads to remove all signages containing Mayor Henyard's name and likeness in accordance to the village ordinance, instructed department heads that all village expenditures incurred by the mayor's office must be approved by the Board of Trustees, advised the police department that mayor's security detail had been invoked by ordinance, directed the issuance of permits to the Dalton Park District that had been held up by the mayor for no legitimate reason, and advised the department heads that Tiffany Henyard Cares vehicle stickers would no longer be sold by the village. Upon information and belief, once Mayor Henyard learned of these actions, she began attempts to fire Freeman as the village administrator. Mayor Henyard ordered the IT director to disable Administrator Freeman's email account so he could no longer conduct village business. On 2 occasions, Mayor Henyard ordered Janice Johnson, the director of administrative services, to draft a termination letter to Keith Freeman. At one such occasion, Mayor Henyard ordered her boyfriend and it's not funny, but Mayor Henyard ordered her boyfriend and the former deputy police chief, that's Louis Lacey, to stand outside Miss Janet's office so she could not leave until she drafted said letter. Wow. Ms. Johnson refused the mayor's efforts to draft a termination letter to Administrator Keith Freeman. At the August 5th, 2024 village board meeting, Mayor Henyard called for the vote to terminate Administrator Freeman. No such motion was made, and therefore no action to terminate Administrator Freeman was taken. Despite the lack of board action, Mayor Henyard announced Keith Freeman is fired. Now let's break down this situation. Mayor Henyard's attempts to fire Keith Freeman without following the legal protocols is just not surprising. It's routine for her. Consider this: Freeman had already been appointed with the board's consent, but Mayor Henyard wants to ignore all the formalities. She ordered her staff to lock him out of office and even cut off his email access. You can practically see the chaos continuing to unfold here in Dalton. This is just another attempt to consolidate power with no regard for legal processes. And then there's a moment where she allegedly forced her director of administrative services to draft a letter firing Keith Freeman, and even going so far as to station her boyfriend and the former deputy police chief, Louis Lacey, outside of her office to ensure compliance. How does this even happen in a professional setting? This is just something that comes out of a mob movie. Adding to the drama, Henyard brazenly announces at the board meeting that Keith Freeman is fired, despite the board not voting on his termination. This isn't just breaking the rules, this is snapping them in half. And to make matters worse, she bypasses the board again by appointing Michael Smith as village administrator and Angela Lockett as village attorney, with no formal consent. Mayor Henyard, trustee Andrew Holmes, and trustee Stanley Brown and several members of the public appeared at the village hall September 3rd, 2024. No quorum was established as required for a meeting, and the meeting was never called to order. Mayor Henyard proceeded to call for department heads' reports. Then she had her personal attorney, Bo Brintley, speak about the quote-unquote attack on Mayor Henyard, the corruption of the board of trustees, and the purported termination of Keith Freeman as village administrator. Mr. Brintley's speech was riddled with misrepresentations of the Open Meetings Act, Illinois Constitution, and Illinois Municipal Code and court orders. Mayor Henyard then stated she was appointing Lakeside Legal and attorney Angela Lockett as the village attorney. Mayor Henyard then stated that she was appointing Michael Smith as the village administrator. You see right there, obviously no vote was taken by the board of trustees on the appointment of Lockett and Smith. And then you put the cherry on top, appointing Ronnie Burge as police chief, even though, again, the board had no say on the matter. All these moves scream, I'm in charge and I don't need anyone's approval. As you see right here, this is when she appointed Ronnie Burge Jr. This happened on the 20th, about 6 days ago. This did not occur during an open meeting, and the board of trustees did not vote to consent to this appointment. So Henyard wants to continue to have the hostile working environment, not just in Dalton, but in Thornton Township. Basically everything she touches, leaving everyone confused and without direction. The fallout from this, it just damaged the village internally. It erodes the foundation of government, and that's why Dalton is at this point now issuing restraining orders. Keith Freeman still has a job. Michael Smith is not the village administrator. Angela Lockett is not the village attorney, and Ronnie Burge is not the police chief. So all the people that she appointed have no official business in Dalton politically in terms of running anything with the village. None of these things can happen until the board of trustees vote on these matters. So what does that mean? That means that obviously Tiffany Henyard is big mad right now. She's really upset, and I'm sure she's going to try to appeal. It's going to be more of a back and forth, obviously, as we see this until, again, the FBI decides to do something, or next year when they vote on a new mayor. But it seems like right now Henyard is not getting her way, and you know what's going to happen when she doesn't get her way. It just gets more chaotic. You won't believe what the super mayor was accused of doing after getting hit with a restraining order. But if you've been on this channel long enough, you'll know that this isn't a surprise at all, because this is what Tiffany Henyard does. The trustees try to put her in a contempt of court, claiming that she has been blocking the village administrator, Keith Freeman, from performing his duties, and even locking him out of the building.
So all I'm saying to y'all is like, y'all saying all these things, but y'all not producing anything. But y'all go run over there with the park. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Getting up at press conference, talking about nothing. Learn the laws. I tell y'all that all the time. Learn from me. But because I'm younger than all y'all think y'all can't learn from me, huh? But guess what? I've been winning.
So it's all unfolded in this Zoom call. We're going to talk about what went down in court and why the judge had to give Henyard a serious warning. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, I want to talk about my experience. So shout out to the amazing person that gave me the information that this court proceeding was happening. So I was able to log in on Zoom. And actually, I was driving around listening to the court proceeding. And when I had a chance to park the car, I had to write some notes. So this is a lot of condensed information on what I heard in this proceeding and the people that are involved. So we'll go through it right now. Let's talk about how it all began. So the temporary restraining order, the core of this case revolves around, obviously, the restraining order that was issued to Mayor Tiffany Henyard. It all started where the trustees accused Henyard of making unlawful appointments to key positions, such as police chief, village administrator, and village attorney. Mayor Henyard, trustee Andrew Holmes, and trustee Stanley Brown, and several members of the public appeared at the village hall September 3rd, 2024. No quorum was established as required for a meeting, and the meeting was never called to order. Mayor Henyard proceeded to call for department heads' reports. Then she had her personal attorney, Bo Brintley, speak about the quote-unquote attack on Mayor Henyard, the corruption of the Board of Trustees, and the purported termination of Keith Freeman as village administrator. Mr. Brintley's speech was riddled with misrepresentations of the Open Meetings Act, Illinois Constitution, and Illinois Municipal Code and court orders. Mayor Henyard then stated she was appointing Lakeside Legal and attorney Angela Lockett as the village attorney. Mayor Henyard then stated that she was appointing Michael Smith as the village administrator. You see right there, obviously no vote was taken by the Board of Trustees on the appointment of Lockett and Smith. Michael Smith is not the village administrator. Angela Lockett is not the village attorney, and Ronnie Burge is not the police chief. So all the people that she appointed have no official business in Dalton politically in terms of running anything with the village. None of these things can happen until the Board of Trustees vote on these matters. So what does that mean? That means that obviously Tiffany Henyard is big mad right now. They claim that she was acting without proper board approval, bypassing the checks and balances that keep the village business in order, or the village governance in order. As a result, the trustees filed a motion, leading to the Cook County Circuit Court, 4Cs, to issue this restraining order, essentially freezing her power to make these appointments and reinstating the rightful employees, which was Keith Freeman. But that's where things got a little crazy. Despite the order, it seems that Henyard didn't want to follow it. And this is why everyone came back to court. So the lawyers on the trustee side broke this down. One of the main points of contention was the treatment of Keith Freeman, the village administrator, who was supposed to return to his duties after the court order. However, according to the trustee's lawyer, Freeman was locked out not just of his office, but essential systems, software programs that he needed for the job. Then on top of that, at one point, he couldn't get into the building.
Oh, I guess I forgot my code. They ain't coming.
And he actually had to call a locksmith. Now, I guess if you've been on this channel for a very, very long time, Freeman and Tiffany Henyard were known to lock people out of buildings. The locksmith must be making a lot of money. So imagine trying to do your job and being blocked by every turn. He kind of already knew that. That's the policy they used to do until Freeman flipped. But it's no wonder that the trustees were back in court pushing for more answers. Then there was some issues with the former police chief, if you can call him that. I guess he was, but the guy that Henyard hired, but then realized that he couldn't be a police chief anyway, Ronnie Burge, he found himself in some hot water. So the trustees' lawyers claimed that Burge had not returned critical items. He did return the vehicle, but he did not return village issue keys, uniform, and the badge. This failure to comply was another example of how the village was falling apart in the wake of Henyard's defiance and obviously her decisions. So Henyard's lawyer is this dude by the name of Max Solomon, and he did what defense lawyers do. They try to clean this up, try to make it seem like this was just some simple misunderstandings. So throughout the court proceeding, he argued that this whole situation was just some poor communication rather than a deliberate defiance of the court's order. According to Max, Burge had returned the keys, uniform, and badge, but he did it directly to Henyard and not the village itself. His argument centered on an idea that no one was talking to each other properly, And that's why things appeared chaotic. The problem is with this defense, at least in my eyes, that who is the one that's on top of this administration? The reason why there's miscommunication is because it seems like Henyard doesn't want to communicate when things don't go her way. She likes to say, call my phone, but when people try to reach out to her, she is not able to answer, especially if you are against her. And Henyard's lawyer went after Keith Freeman, even went so far to question why Keith Freeman had contacted a locksmith in the first place. He claimed that Freeman already had access to his office, so calling the locksmith seemed unnecessary. In Max's view, the restraining order was being followed. Maybe not perfectly, but the situation wasn't as bad as it seemed. And this is my opinion on where the defense argument starts to crumble. The issue isn't just about logistics or communication. It's about control. If Freeman truly needed to call a locksmith to get into his building, get into the office, that indicates a deeper problem of Henyard's ongoing interference. When you're dealing with a court order, lack of communication shouldn't be a valid excuse for locking people out of their jobs, virtually and physically. But I guess that's how things work nowadays, I guess. He tried to use a lot of compassion in this meeting, basically saying, hey guys, if we just all could work together, talking to the judge, asking the judge, can we get these people to work together? Because, it's just chaotic. And it just seemed a little silly considering that there's such a long history of Henyard doing things that flies at the face of working together. But again, he's a defense lawyer. That's what defense lawyers do. Now, trustees, the lawyer's argument, deliberate interference, that's what they're calling it. The trustee's lawyer argued that Henyard was actively trying to block Freeman from doing his job. They call it a direct violation of the court order. According to them, this wasn't just miscommunication or confusion. It was a deliberate attempt to undermine the village operations. The lawyers pointed out that Freeman was not just locked out of his office, but the village software systems, which obviously is essential for him to perform his duties. On top of that, this wasn't the first time that Henyard did something like this. Trustees argued that Henyard had a history of locking other employees and trustees out of the building. I mean, at one point, she locked all the residents out of Village Hall, creating a pattern of obstruction that went far beyond simple misunderstandings. But obviously, Max Solomon, the defense attorney, he was definitely anti-Freeman in this. He basically said that Freeman did not follow protocol. He did not communicate to what's going on, to why he was not able to access his office. And he didn't understand that it's just chaotic right now. He tried to get in the day after the court order, and I guess things weren't corrected yet. I think it added an overall picture of a village in disarray where communication and authority have been completely broken down. So let's just get straight into Judge Wilson and his warning. As the hearing continued, Judge Wilson made it clear that he wasn't going to let this continue unchecked. So Mayor Henyard was actually on the call, and he addressed her directly. He asked her if she was aware of the restraining order. She said yes. And he also asked if she was aware of what's inside, what this order means. She confirmed that she did, which led the judge to issue that stern warning. And he basically told her, like, hey, listen, if these accusations are true, and if she continues to do this, that there will be serious consequences. He even went as far as to say that he had no problem putting people in custody if they continue to violate the court's orders. This was a critical moment because it showed that this judge isn't playing. This is a clear message that the court's patience was wearing thin. However, in a move that surprised some people, the judge also acknowledged that some of the issues might stem from miscommunication. And he allowed this excuse to fly for now, but he was clear that this will not be tolerated again. Miscommunication cannot be the constant excuse for why things are going the way they do. So moving forward, the court expected full compliance with its orders, and any further violations would not be met with leniency. So in the end, the judge denied the trustees' petition for the immediate contempt charges against Henyard and Burge, but it was denied without prejudice, which means that while the trustees did not win their motion that day, they're free to bring the issue back to court if Henyard continues to violate the restraining order. So Judge Wilson's decision reflects a kind of, I don't even call it, cautious optimism, hoping that the parties will be able to resolve their differences without further legal intervention. But I don't think that's going to work given the tensions and the history of conflict between Henyard and the trustees. It's difficult to say whether this is going to be the last time the village find themselves in court over these issues. I think they'll be back soon. So this case is just another example into the broader dysfunction within Dalton's village government. Henyard's leadership has been marked by embarrassing controversy, as another embarrassing controversy, accusations of misconduct, and this is just a latest episode, adds more fuel to the fire. Blocking access to systems locking people out of office, ignoring court orders, more interested in maintaining control than following the rules. So what is next for Dalton? I know there's a board meeting next week. We'll see exactly what happens there.
I want to make sure this is for the record. Please write it word for word. I am the mayor of the village of Dalton. I am the mayor of the village of Dalton. I am the first female mayor of Dalton. Today I am the elected mayor. To make for this, that you can see once a real mayor, a real boss walks in the building.
So, yeah, guys, another chaotic one in Dalton, and the latest park district meeting wasn't any different. So, you know, just you already seen it. Imagine that scene where the trustees and Mayor Henyard are just going back and forth with each other, at war with each other. And this fight is being played out on basically every month on social media, on the news media, the tension, the drama, the confusion. I mean, even today, if you are a resident and you didn't know where the meeting was going to be, even though they had one, the agendas are posted, then you have your mayor at the village hall. Then the mayor went from the village hall to the park district, said that this is the fake meeting, but she's at the fake meeting. So, you know, most of these meetings are supposed to be dull, full of information, kind of, you know, mostly kind of boring. It's local government meeting, but every single month it's a spectacle. It is, I don't know if everyone is waking up, especially Haney is like, let me see how I can get on the news. All right, I'm not going to show up at this meeting. I'm going to show up when my agenda for the mayor's report to show up, and then I'm going to say something slick about Jason House. I'm going to get booed. So what was supposed to happen was the trustees, at this point, they have the quorum, they have the numbers. They decided to hold a village board meeting at Dalton Park District because there's more spaces for people. The village hall is not that big. Instead of people getting jammed up, then they're staying outside. And especially now we're getting into the fall, it's getting cold. They should have it in a place where, yeah, a lot of people care about the situation. Put it somewhere where everyone can sit down and see what's going on. But then Mayor Henyard decided to have her own meeting.
I want to thank my two trustees, Trustee Andrew Holmes and Trustee Stan Brown, for showing up.
At Village Hall, Mayor Tiffany Henyard, two trustees and some department heads, the meeting canceled.
As you can see, the board did not show up, and these are the things that the residents are tired of. When we sit here and we set a schedule to attend a board meeting,
so this is the village hall. I'm not sure who this woman right here is. Rick B says, is that Angela Lockett or Lockhart or whatever? And Dots. So Dots walks in. So the guy in the fro behind Stan Brown, that's Max Solomon. That's the lawyer that represented her. That's the defense attorney that represented her when the trustees tried to hold Tiffany Henyard in contempt. So you have that. Then you got Andrew Holmes. Then you got William Moore, that I think was laid off at Dalton Village. The village, like he works for the township, but he doesn't work there. And then that's Michael Dots. Now, does Tiffany Henyard care about the restraining order? So that is Angela Lockett. Yeah, that is it. These are the people that she was told she cannot hire without board approval. You can't just put these people in.
An attorney for trustees opposed to Mayor Tiffany Henyard say a judge has granted a temporary restraining order blocking several of her recent moves to consolidate power. She appointed a new village manager, village attorney, and police chief. Trustees argue Henyard doesn't have the power to make those staff changes without their consent. They believe the judge's decision will force Henyard to seek their approval for new hires.
So I don't know what she's trying to do. She's playing it real fast and loose. I think Michael Solomon can show up. She's like, the defense attorney. I don't think he's going to be village attorney. And then you have Stan Brown that you can't tell what side he's going to be on. Miss Ross says Stan is totally confused and inconsistent on his way to jail. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what he's doing or what he thinks is the right move for him politically or legally, right? Because all this is politics, but now you're involving federal investigators, stuff like that.
For Public Works, and also we have William Ward for housing. So all department heads are present as always to give you a report of what they have been doing for the entire month. So our meeting is canceled. If you have any questions or would like to speak to me, I am available for the residents. So For the record again, there's no meeting. We are canceling the meeting. We do not have a quorum, so nobody can go and say, hey, they had a meeting, we did this, did that. No, 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 we don't have it. So thank you again for coming out this evening, and sorry for, I don't want to say, I didn't waste your time, but thank you for wasting your time. So thank you so much, and I'll come out and I'll speak to you. So give me a minute and I'll come out. Oh, trustee, John, want to say something? Okay. Stay around, anybody? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd like to say this is a regular board meeting, the first of the month board meeting. That's why I came, because I want to be able to take care of business. And business is what we need to do here in the village of Dalton. We would like the trustees and the mayor, we was all get together, make things happen that needs to happen. But I was elected to be here, and I'm here because the residents voted me to be here for this meeting, so that's why I'm here at this particular meeting. So that being said, I just like it for the record to be clear. I am a trustee in the village of Dolton, and I was elected by the residents here, so I'm here to represent, because there was some things that they wanted to be addressed, so that's why I'm here. Thank you.
All right, that concludes, and everything's on the agenda too. Everybody's items, everything's on the agenda, so there's no reason for no one not to show up to the actual scheduled board meeting. And there's no reason to say that we have space for everyone. As you can see, you have plenty of space. I'll just try to explain to you that people bring the chaos, because normally a normal board meeting is about this amount of people, because you are the true residents of Dalton. So again, I thank you so much for coming out. Unfortunately, we cannot take care of any business as planned, so we will see you in person. But stay if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Back at Village Hall, it was hard to kind of hear, but you saw that she said this is the real meeting. And obviously she had to end it because of lack of quorum. So, you know, it seems like her supporters were dwindling, but she still had her two trustees on her side. Stan Brown, which is interesting because Stan Brown was at the village board meeting at one point. I think it was a special meeting. He showed up. We thought that maybe he flipped. Now we don't know what Stan Brown is. Is he just fence sitting? Is he just confused? Did he think at the village hall, he said he's here because the residents voted him here? Maybe he don't know what's going on, or maybe he's confused. He hasn't figured out where to go. Maybe he's doing something politically. I have no idea. Or trying to save himself illegally. I don't know. Then Andrew Holmes was there. But the biggest issue was there were people that the judge told Mayor Henyard last week, basically gave him a restraining order. You cannot really hire these people without board approval. It was the Michael Dots, the Dots guy, Michael Smith. Then it was Angela Lockett, I think that's her name, the one person that she wanted as village attorney. None of these things can be done without the board approval, but yet they were in Village Hall. Now you could say it's a public meeting. They could have been sitting as a spectator, but who knows? And then William Moore, as Trustee Belcher says, this dude is there every day, despite the fact that he's been laid off and the fact that he works for the township. Why is he at Village Hall every day?
William Moore comes to the Village Hall every day. William Moore is on the payroll at Thornton Township as a full-time employee. Tell me who goes payroll. Yes. You heard it from me. So these are the type of issues, and I'm not going into the township business because they got their own separate, which still involves us. But these are the type of issues that are putting the village in harm's way, putting the township, which the village is in harm's way.
Probably because that's one of the few loyal supporters that Tiffany Henyard has. So she's going to keep these people around, even if it's could get herself in trouble. I don't understand it. Like, I'm scratching my head. I don't know what exactly is her strategy. What is going on here? It doesn't make any sense. Like, these individuals that have either been laid off or Michael Smith, who has been named in a restraining order, like, this whole situation is wild because the judge in Henyard's case, I forgot his name. I think it was Thaddeus Wilson. Yeah. Judge Wilson warned her, threatening, I will put people in jail if you don't comply with my orders. He's like, I'm not playing. And the question is, like, does she care? And it doesn't seem like she doesn't care. Henyard is playing with fire. I don't understand the strategy. I don't understand it at all. I know she don't want to seem weak, so that's why she didn't show up at the Dalton Park District, because she runs Village Hall. She wants you guys to be at Village Hall. and she doesn't like to be told what to do, even though she did show up to do whatever she was doing. So the meeting was pretty chill until the end. Then it's heated, a lot of heated moments. His accusations flying, his voice is raised, there's people yelling, people screaming, everyone's starting to get frustrated. You know, the timing of her coming to do her mayor's address was like, this is when the tension is already, it just shoots from, it was probably at a 20 to 100. I feel like she swooped in at the very last minute to make her presence known. That's what she came in to show her presence. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you guys that you guys do not belong in this. This is not a real meeting. I'm the mayor. Y'all was supposed to be at the village hall and y'all playing around.
Unfortunately, I want y'all to record this. Make sure y'all get it in the back, please. I want to make sure this is for the record. Please write it word for word. I am the mayor of the village of Dolton. At the end of the day, I am the elected mayor. That you can see, once a real mayor, a real boss walks in the building. One is village, the other is special counsel, and the other is police chief, board of trustees. Do you consent to my appointment? It's not on the agenda. It is on the agenda. So do you consent? Out of order, ladies, out of order. Do you consent, board of trustees? Okay, so y'all do know that y'all like that committee. So I got several vetoes here. Ask for order. I just want you to know that my vetoes don't say anything. I get to do so many things as the board of trustees. And the board of trustees need a lot of illegal things. Another thing I want you to understand about the board of trustees, they are all corrupt. Every last one of them up here are corrupt. So once I prove it, you will understand what it is I've been fighting for, what it is I've been trying to tell you. Because y'all got one-sided narratives and y'all don't have no facts. So once you lay that, you will understand what it is I've been fighting for this entire time. I'm only here for one reason. My appointment, just to be clear, since y'all was thinking all that noise, just to be crystal clear, I am here to appoint my police chief, my village You guys are welcome to come. I will give away free content, and I'll have the other thing that the community is going to partake in. And I know some of y'all are talking about so I thank you for actually showing me love, and please put some respect on that. Thank y'all.
But it seems like she has lost so much support and obviously lost the room as soon as she started talking and kind of throwing that mess out. So again, going back to that question, does Henyard care about what the judge said? She is blatantly ignoring the order and surrounding herself with people who shouldn't even be in the village hall. As some of the trustees were talking about, some of these employees sharing logins.
I definitely brought this, want to draft a policy. We have a lot of employees that are sharing their login access with William Moore, with Kim Alston. That should not be. If you no longer work for the village, you should not share your access information with no one. You should not share your access information with your fellow co-workers. Everyone is assigned an access, and everyone should be able to utilize their own access. You definitely have to put something in place
Policies are made to be governed by, not to be broken. So if we're gonna put these things in place, we gotta stand on it.
Being in areas where only employees are supposed to be, it's like she's daring the court to make a move, almost inviting the legal system to step in and enforce the consequences. The fact that William Moore and Michael Smith are still hanging around after everything has happened, which was literally, it's not really a week ago. I think it was Thursday. Today's Monday. But obviously this is a clear indication that she is not taking the judge seriously. And honestly, that is just baffling to me. But if you've been following the story for almost a year, it seems like that happens a lot here. Who in their right mind will keep pushing the limits like this after being warned with jail time? So I think why the trustees are jumping to go to the Park District, I think they're clearly fed up with the mayor's antics. They're trying to save what's going on with the community, trying to have business as usual, at least try to get the business done. But Henyard's actions make it difficult. Her attempt to hold her own meeting, her attempt to continue to run her own show, and the trustees are going back and forth with her. So that's one of the more frustrating parts of this situation. Trustees are trying to lay off people, trying to cut back financially, and somehow these laid off employees keep coming back. So as if there's no clear direction or control of who is allowed in Village Hall, who is in control of Village Hall. The idea that these individuals come back because the mayor invites them back, it just shows a complete breakdown in this government. So the trustees, I'm sure, are frustrated about this. And Stan Brown, talking about everyone needs to come together. I don't see it. She is playing with a lot of fire. I don't understand. It seems like she is walking on a tightrope with this restraining order, with the threat from the judge, and just her blatant disregard for court orders are setting the stage for some serious issues. It's like you try to force the judge to act. Now, her ending up in jail would be a crazy twist to this story. It's already a chaotic situation. This whole thing is a ticking time bomb, and everyone is watching closely, and the stakes couldn't be higher. I just don't understand her strategy. It doesn't make sense to me. She's not allowed to do certain things without board approval. Like, you gotta follow the rules. Now, she knows that if she brought up Michael Smith as village administrator, no one's voting for that because there's already a village administrator, Keith Freeman. I forgot to say, Keith Freeman showed up as well. If you missed it, he showed up at the meeting, didn't speak, but he was there, I guess, chilling out in the back. But yeah, I do not know what her strategy is on this one. This is very confusing to say the least. This is, a small village with a lot of internal political issues, strifes and beefs and all that. And it's turned out, obviously, for the last couple months to a full-blown drama where you don't know what's going to happen every meeting. I did not believe that Henyard was going to show up. As soon as I saw Park District, I said, okay, she's not going to show up. It will be a very informative meeting. It won't be a lot of spiciness. It won't be people screaming and yelling at each other. They'll kind of show us the current state of the village. But then Henyard came in and kind of smacked all that by pushing the limits, ignoring what seems to be court orders, and surrounding herself with people who may have no business being in Village Hall, and employees showing up, sharing login codes, doing some weird stuff. And, everyone is at their wit's end trying to figure out how to restore order, how to protect the community. How can you figure out what is happening? And, I've been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of old meetings, and there's been a lot of problems for a while. Henyard did not start a lot of these issues. So they got to figure out how to fix the culture of this situation. This is not, I think, Tiffany's definitely the worst, and she just is burning everything down. But at the same time, there's a level of culture, the level of the way they communicate with each other, the way it seems like there's always something happening. And, it seemed like several years. So I don't know how you fix that. I mean, ask me how to fix New York City and what's going on here. I couldn't tell you how to do that. But it's always some issues. It's always kind of storm waiting to hit. And, before Tiffany Henyard became mayor. So I don't know. We have another meeting tomorrow at the Thornton Township. I'm sure it's going to be worse than this one. I'm going to throw it out right now. It's going to be more crazy than the last 10 minutes that we saw on this, where it was a regular meeting, answering some questions, trying to push the community forward a little bit. And it just went back to Tiffany throwing out her call it insults or whatever. It's going to be even crazier tomorrow, unfortunately. Or fortunately, pretending if you are interested in seeing train wrecks. I think that's what's going to happen.
Ms. Henyard, process service, not a problem. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for not interfering, man. You've been served.
She and her boyfriend are accused of not paying rent. Her landlord confirming to WGN News these papers served to Henyard at the start of this meeting are eviction summons and complaints.
So yes, the super mayor got served. So township just had a meeting that basically was another live action dumpster fire with the supervisor Tiffany Henyard as the ringmaster, and everyone else just left.
No one, and I repeat, no one can run circles around me when it comes to public service.
The same old stuff. If you're expecting basic order, democracy, or God forbid, a normal public meeting,
it's not going to happen.
So let's get into some of the nonsense that went on in this meeting. Right off the bat, you can tell that this wasn't going to go well at all. So Trustee Carlisle had to slap a restraining order on Keith Price, Henyard's right-hand man, in a move that is worthy of any middle school drama queen. Henyard refused to let Carlisle phone in to the meeting, essentially shutting her down with as much pettiness as possible.
Now we need a motion to allow Carmen Carlisle to enter the conference by phone. May I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to allow Trustee Carlisle to join via phone.
Is there a second?
No. There's no second because there's been over a month. You have not been here. You should have showed up to the board meetings to take care of the business. All these gangs have to stop. We are here. You should be here. We cannot sit here and have phone calls. We need to be here to take care of the people's business. That's it. That's all. We're here, so we will proceed with this meeting.
We've done this before.
Okay, and you know the rules. Hold on. You know the rules. If you do not get a second, that means you do not have a motion to do so.
So you're not allowing...
I just answered that question, sir. All right, moving on. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting held September 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m.? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Is there a second? So now you're mad, you don't want to take care of the business? You elected to take care of the business. This is a motion to approve the minutes. This is the stuff that the residents need to know what we have done here at the township. So Trustee Gonzalez, would you like to second? No? Okay, I'll second, guys, because I want you guys to have the information. So I second the motion so that you will have the minutes.
So Carlisle has issues with security, has issues with Price. And instead of maybe Price not being there, Henyard decided to keep him around anyway because he is one of the very loyal ride or die loyalists for Henyard. Letting Carlisle phone in would have been the adult thing to do, but that's not Henyard. Henyard sees this as her chance to assert control, even if it means slapping the mute button on someone who represents the township, someone who was elected to be a trustee of the township. Keith Price was not elected to do anything. So Henyard doubled down on showing the people if you're not on her side, then get ready to be sidelined. This isn't real leadership. This is just more pettiness that we come to know and understand from the super mayor. Then the meeting basically becomes non and void when Trustee Gonzalez basically pieces out.
Next is approval of supervisors 100% tax refund for all owners of Thornton Township.
I'd like to make a motion. Having done all the necessary business, I'd like to make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Now, you know you're not going to win it. I don't even know why you put that on film. And while we adjourn the meeting, is right now we're here to take care of the business. So, residents, you see what's going on. There's no motion for an adjournment. We're here to handle the business, trustee. So, as I was stating, it was
a motion to
Okay, there's no second, sir. If you're following Robert Rules of Orders, which I advise you to adopt, you will understand how this goes. If it's a motion on the floor, hold on, let me explain to the rest so they can understand. If there's a motion on the floor and you fail to get a second, then it fails. We're moving on. The residents are here today to hear about exactly what's going on as relates to township business. So we're here to handle the business, guys. We even got to handle something really important with our bank account. So all that's on the agenda. So adjourning for what? Why did you come to a meeting if you don't want to handle the business? Why? Like, stop playing these games. There's too many games. We here to handle the business, now let the business handle us. That's what we are elected to do, sir. So please, let's continue. We're here to talk about something important. We're giving away $2.2 million to the residents of Thornton Township. We are giving you guys a tax refund. Tax refund, something that you need, something that you all complain about as it relates to your property taxes. For those that don't know, this is what we have going on. Is there a motion to approve the tax refund? Is there a second? Second. Call the roll.
Trustee Gray Everett.
Yes. He's still in the building. You can finish with this roll call.
Trustee Gray Everett. Trustee Gonzalez. Trustee Carlisle. Supervisor Henyard.
Yes.
Motion failed.
All right, so here we go. One of the individuals walked out of the meeting, so of course you know that means we don't have any quorum. So today we cannot take any more action as it relates to the agenda items.
Trustee Gonzalez, already fed up with Henyard's brand of leadership, ups and leaves the meeting. Not that anyone can blame him. Henyard has been steamrolling anyone who dares to suggest transparency or order, turning the entire process into her personal echo chamber, as you're going to see later in the video. She spends a lot of time talking about how awesome she is. Trustee Gonzalez decided to walk out instead of continuing to deal with this dumpster fire Henyard was trying to pass off as a board meeting.
I just want you to see for yourself the games that are being played here at Thornton Township. It's shameful that that individual wants to rerun for re-election, but will not sit in this seat and take care of the business of the people. As you can see currently now, one of the board members exited because they did not want to hear what's going on in Thornton Township, but this is the games that is being played with your tax dollars. These are people that you elected to sit here, but they will not stay and take care of the business.
That does not matter for the supermayor. Henyard took this as another moment to share how awesome she is, and instead of acknowledging why her colleagues might be feeling frustrated, she spins Gonzalez's walkout as another act against her. She is the sole champion of doing the people's work.
The forensic audit, everybody get the line about numbers and this and that, but the truth is, we approved for a forensic audit here at Thornton Township. Unfortunately, as you can see, Trustee Chris Gonzalez did not want the forensic audit to happen. The forensic audit is for Trustee Carmen Carlisle and also Keith Freeman. It was for their credit cards. So that is on here for a vote to approve the company to do the forensic audit, which you guys need to know about. So that's on here. Next, the other thing that's on here that's really important is the IT department. So for him to walk out the way he did, shame on him. Remember that when election time comes, because you need to remember how he treated y'all.
She tries to paint Gonzalez as someone who abandoned the people just to avoid his civic duty. But in reality, he was done being a part of Henyard's dictatorship nonsense. Robert's rule of order was supposed to be a lifeline of any public meeting, guiding fair discussion, making sure everyone's voice is heard. But in Henyard's hands, it's like she flipped it through a couple of pages, shrugged, and decided to wing it. Who knows if she actually read it? Every time there's a motion on the table, Henyard just either bulldozes through it without any discussion or tries to block it entirely, depending on how it fits her narrative. If she doesn't like the motion, then she ignores it. If she does, then she forces it through like she's the queen and everyone else is there to nod along. Henyard went off on this rant, and you've probably heard this before if you checked out any time she spoke for about an hour straight. It was more about less public servant speaking to her community and more unhinged monologue from some reality TV show. She's ranting about how she's the only one who cares. No one else does. And that she's here for the people while everyone else is there to mess around and take advantage and steal or whatever. Honestly, it's like she's trying to play the role of the unsung hero. It's politics. That's her narrative. That's what she wants to push.
But yet, they walk out and didn't handle the business. So now when things be upside down, news, don't put my name on that saying it's the supervisor, because it is not. I am here, willing and ready to handle the business of the people. Yet, my counterparts don't show up to me. My counterparts lie to y'all about safety concerns. As you can see, there's no safety concerns. And my counterparts walk out of board meetings, meaning the trustees. It's shameful. It's disgusting. Y'all elected them to do a job. Our job is to do our job. No matter who we like, who we get along with, we're supposed to show up and show out for the people because you elected us to do so. And when we don't do it, we can't cry wolf later and point fingers and say it's this person and that person. When you clear as day see who is keeping up the mess. I am so glad that the hecklers and all the hate groups been left because they don't care about what's really right for the people. They care about keeping up chaos, keeping up mess. And I'm not for it. I just want to do my job, and I love what I do. I repeat, I love what I do, which is public service. No one, and I repeat, no one can run circles around me when it comes to public service. You have to be willing to give your all to the people. And that's what we do. I stand in the fire for them. I come here every day, unbothered, and I come here with confidence and ready to lead the people, which we've been doing. That's how you got a surplus since I took over. When I took over in 22, y'all had a deficit of $4.5 million. News, why y'all didn't report that? Y'all didn't never report that y'all had a deficit and I came and cleaned it up.
She launches in that monologue about the $2.2 million tax fund that she's approving for the people in Thornton. Homeowners, spending it as she's emptying up her own pockets to fund it, even though it's the taxpayer money that belongs to people in the first place. She's not doing a personal favor. She's using this as a way to get reelected. And then she goes further, accusing anyone who left the meeting, who disagrees with her, of being a part of some vague hate group or chaos managers.
But yet, when someone passes, everybody fights over the seat. And when they fight over the seat, you create this chaos. And that's why I call them chaos agents. Because you got all these chaos agents running around, but nobody's willing to get in the fight. Everybody got an opinion, right, of what someone's doing or what they could do better, but yet you won't take a stand and you won't run for the seat. If you want to make the change, be the change. Run for the seat. Stop talking about people. I never seen so much hatred, so much mess amongst older people in my life.
She claims that these so-called haters are the ones spreading chaos, while she's the one turning these meetings, whether you're talking about the township or Dalton, into complete chaos. People are just exhausted with her antics. The laundry list of her so-called achievements is a blame fest. He drags everyone under the bus, the board members, the residents, even the media. They're the ones making the Thornton Township look bad. This is her mess. She's running the show. And when she's not pointing fingers, she's playing the victim, even though she's the one that's starting all this chaos. This isn't what people sign up for. They're looking for a real representation, not a supervisor that sees every disagreement as a personal attack. I don't know what's going to happen with Trustee Carlisle and what she's going to have to do, because she has to do her job as a trustee. And the person that she has a problem with is always there backing up Tiffany Henyard. And I'm talking about Keith Price. So what is going to happen there? I have no idea. Next week, we'll be checking out the Dalton board meeting and see what kind of shenanigans happen there.
A lot of y'all come to the podium and y'all talk about things that you got no concrete evidence of. All the energy that you guys place into me, I wish you would pour that into yourselves. Just like Trump, I'm going to come in on a landslide on both seats. Know that. Remember this moment when I landslide and come in for the victory like I always do.
More unfiltered chaos brought to you by Dalton. Again, was supposed to be a productive meeting turned into a brawl with officials throwing down over luxury car leases, lost village property, and a nearly $1 million settlement nobody understands. And to top it all off, the mayor's out here singing Trump's praises.
Yes, Trump is our president. You have to accept it. You have to deal with it. You have to live with it. People can be mad, be in their feelings, but guess what you cannot do? Take away his presidency.
This isn't a meeting. This is a reality show where everyone is fighting for airtime. So let's just get into it right now. The mayor kicks off by basically defending herself against criticism, calling out residents who dare to question her leadership. She actually refers to her critics as fans who are obsessed with her.
You have to give respect in order to get it. A lot of you come to this mic talking about nothing. And when I say nothing, you're talking about Tiffany Henyard. So that means that you really are fans of mine, and I appreciate that.
She thanks them for being her biggest fans, as if they're huddled in a line waiting for an autograph instead of real answers about the state of their village.
So that means that you really are fans of mine, and I appreciate that, because normally you will come up here and you will talk about the business as it relates to our village. But not one of you talk about any business that it relates to our village, whether it's fix your street, fix your alley, maybe your street lights out, whatever the issues are, but you don't speak to that. You speak of me, the person, Tiffany Henyard. So thank you for being a fan of mine.
And then came the big moment, the mayor talking about Trump. The mayor of Dalton rolling out the red carpet for Trump, congratulating him on his reelection like he is going to be her savior.
Yes, Trump is our president. You have to accept it. You have to deal with it. You have to live with it. People can be mad, be in their feelings, but guess what you cannot do? Take away his presidency. He is the next president of the United States of America, 47th president. And our job as real leaders, just like Trump, I'm going to come in on a landslide on both seats. Know that. Remember this moment when I landslide and come in for the victory like I always do.
I think many of us understand that this is not necessarily a political alignment. This is about keeping her options open in case she gets caught up in the federal investigation, in case she gets indicted. After all, what better way to keep a potential pardon in your back pocket by cozying up to Trump? But then now we go back and forth between the mayors and trustees. They all know the basic stuff like why the village is broke and why they're running out of supplies. This is 2024, and we're talking about shortages of paper, pens, and printer ink here. And instead of answering the questions, the mayor shrugs it off and deflects it back to trustees, accusing them of lining their own pockets by prioritizing their own expenses, including mystery back pay and conference costs.
When we have water main breaks, they can't even buy supplies. They don't even have clamps to clamp the water main break. This is how bad it is, but they're not telling you because they're not paying the bills. They have to pay the bills, but they're paying themselves. They're paying their friends. They're paying the contractors. They got the lawyer on there this evening. The lawyer making what? What is it, McGrath, what, $139,000? But they say we don't have money. If we don't have money, you're making a way for your lawyer. You're making a way for your friends. You're making a way for contractors that didn't do village work.
The trustees shoot back, calling out the mayor for mismanaging funds. And at this point, with all of this dysfunction and chaos, you have to wonder if anyone's actually focused on running the village or battling back and forth, yelling about expense reports and pointing fingers. Now we're talking about the budget, the big thing that they keep going back and forth on. The mayor claims that the trustees are paying themselves and their friends rather than funding necessary projects. This spirals into a surreal budget blame game that feels less like local government and more like a particularly messy episode of a reality show.
The budget. I don't understand why we don't have a budget, just like I say any other time. We know that we're supposed to pass a budget come April, May of the beginning of this year. And still, it is now November, going into December, going into the new budget cycle. We should have already passed the budget. It shouldn't be we still working on it. It don't take that long to sit and work on the budget. You sit down, you agree to disagree, and you come up with a balanced budget or whatever you want to take out or put in. You do that, and you present it, and you move forward. But operate without a budget.
And that process will continue as well. Lastly, but definitely not least, I heard one individual come up here talking, referencing their bills. And right now we are working towards a budget. We mentioned that the board has received the draft budget and there are a lot of challenges with that budget. That being said, it is a task that we still must face. So we are continuing to work on a way that we can get our budget that will allow for back bills to be paid as well. We will honor all vendors that are paid, but I have to say it is going to be a challenging process.
They even talk about animal control. Apparently there's some stray dogs that are going around ripping people apart. That's even insane upon itself.
You know how many people have got attacked by dogs in Dolton? These all police reports right here. Police reports. People getting mauled to death. Did y'all know that in Dalton? These are reports that we got. But yet we talking about charging $100 for a loose dog, a pit bull. I'll give you a story. We was out running about what, 2 months ago, Will? 2 months ago. When I say a pit, was that a pit? What kind of dog that was? A pit was loose. Chased the mail lady down the street. She was screaming her heart out.
Now the mayor wants hefty penalties, ranting about the stray dog problem. The trustees, however, want to lower the fine so residents aren't financially burdened if their pets slip away. And this is the real problem. The village actually has an $80,000 animal control vehicle that has been sitting idle for 3 years. But now they're going back and forth between who should pay this if this happens for the resident or not, while a high-cost vehicle just rusts away unused. And as if things weren't messy enough, there's a showdown over who gets to appoint members to the village electoral board.
When you file your petitions, we have to create a body as it relates. Okay, the attorney want to explain it.
Counsel, with all due respect, I advised the mayor
that this is not.
You out of order. Stop. Go ahead.
I advise the mayor council that this is not the municipal officers electoral board. That board is different from this board. This is the Village of Dalton's trustees board, right? The MOEB is a statute, is a creature of statute, according to ILS 510, 510, council. This is not that board. That motion should be properly addressed by the proper board.
Are we in comments, discussion?
No, we're talking, the attorneys was talking to each other as it relates to that it's an improper item on the agenda.
When Mayor Henyard is running, Jason House is running, the clerk is running. So for it to be no inconsistencies and nobody saying somebody did this wrong and somebody did that wrong, the purpose of putting this on the agenda is for the county to be the electoral board where they're not biased because of all of these people that are running are be there. So yes, you are the mayor, but if all of y'all are the people that's on the ballot, that would be unfair. So the purpose of this ordinance, and I'm sure if you read it, you would see that it's for the county to come step in so there will be no biases of anybody that put in any objections.
It's the drama over the electoral process that most village residents probably wouldn't even know existed. But at this point, everyone is just fighting for power, and whatever the trust the residents may have had in this situation is definitely unraveling. Then they argue about luxury vehicles, a $1.6 million bond, which is crazy. A trustee pointed out that the leases cost the village over $9,000 per month. Cutting these luxury vehicles, according to some, would save over $100,000 a year.
The Rango that the previous chief had, if you tallied up just those 4 vehicles of the lease, it's $9,145 per month, which would save us $109,740,000 a year. $40 a year. So this is not any cars that's coming off of the street for the police. These are the other vehicles that were unapproved by the board.
So imagine that this village, struggling with basic supplies and a stretched budget, has been paying thousands of dollars a month for fancy rides that serve no essential function. And let's talk about the business leases issue. So trustees argue that they need to step in to make sure that businesses can actually get licenses because the mayor's administration allegedly takes 6 months just to process one.
We'll say prior to this administration, the board did not need to be involved in business licenses. This is the least business-friendly administration that I've ever seen.
That's right.
It takes more, it takes businesses up to 6 months and they get no responses, no answers. That's the reason the board created this process. If the employees will do the job and make sure these people are followed up with and comply, we have no problem getting out the way. The board is not trying to oversee all this stuff. We're doing this as many other things because the job is not being done.
The mayor fired back, claiming the trustees were bypassing normal procedures, handing out licenses to their friends and homies.
All right, so right now you guys are impeding on the day-to-day operation. That is not your job. That is not your job to do, and you're impeding on the day-to-day operation as a trustee. Y'all job is to legislate. That's all y'all do. You guys cannot sit here and circumvent the process. The process is what it is as it relates to a business coming into our community. And if people get their stuff right, they wouldn't have to go through all of this if they make sure they do it right the first time. I have made videos and showed you guys of people going on fake news, lying, and I've showed you the truth. So that's just what it is.
Creating a process so burdensome that the businesses needed attorneys just to get a license. We're talking about gas stations here, not corporate mergers. If anyone's looking to start a business in this village, they might need to bring their lawyer and a crystal ball to get through the maze of approvals. And this probably is not the biggest surprise. Mayor Henyard wants her team hired, and she's going to do whatever it takes to get that done. The mayor tried to get her choices for village attorney, police chief, and other roles approved. Trustees rejected each of her appointments, citing a lack of background checks and missing qualifications. But the mayor doubled down, insisting her appointees were overqualified and accusing the trustees of sabotaging her efforts to restore order. So she announced, despite the board's objections, that these individuals would serve as a temporary appointments under state statute, a loophole that allows her to keep these people in place until the trustees finally cave.
Why go back down this same road again with not running background and not making sure that these people are qualified for the position?
First of all, everybody up here is overqualified for their position. So please put some respect on their name, like I tell you to do me. As it relates to us here, we are African American beauty. I'm gonna say that. And with that being said, we are great. You have attorney to my left, and y'all don't want to give them the opportunity. This is Max Allen. He has been practicing law for years. To my right, you have Angela Lockett. She is awesome. And this guy, because y'all need to stop playing with people's names. They are attorneys. That means they passed the bar and background check. They wouldn't be an attorney. And as it relates to anything else, as it relates to Ronnie Burge, all y'all know his credentials. You know he has been a police chief in several different locations. And as it relates to Michael Smith, y'all need to stop before he sue y'all for defamation of character. He does not, and I repeat, he does not have a background. Just because you don't like him, don't make it right on what y'all say about people. I'm entitled to my appointments, and my appointments will be who I choose it to be. Because I did that before, listening to a body of picking people that I didn't choose. Right now, these individuals will be my temporary appointments. I already named them, but I will rename them for a record. And that is appointment of Police Chief Ronnie Burge Sr., appointment of Village Attorney Angela Lockett, Attorney Max Solomon for Special Counsel, and also Executive Assistant for Michael Smith. Those are my temporary appointments, which I am entitled to by state statute.
So what is going to happen? I have no idea. And then there was a $900,000 settlement that somehow is a mystery. So as this crazy show continues, a settlement agreement for nearly $1 million came up, and no one seemed to have a clue of what it was about. The trustees questioned the settlement details. No one seemed to be able to explain what's going on.
The attorney has a statement about it being from a federal judge, so I want to let him.
Okay, well, y'all probably should go to closed session because everybody down here is saying y'all should talk about it in the back. And I agree. I don't think y'all should put whoever business that is out in the open.
They agreed to discuss it in a closed session, a rare moment of agreement, but not exactly confidence inspiring when millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars are online. Let's talk about this case, Williams versus Dalton. Thank you to an amazing person who sent me this. This was basically an issue between, obviously, Mayor Tiffany Henyard and a couple of police officers, all allegedly ganging up on an activist, Camilla Williams, for having the audacity to protest. This federal case reads like a script for a movie where the small town mayor takes the role of the antagonist, allegedly ordering arrests to shut down voices that she did not want to hear. Williams, an activist pushing for justice after a police-involved shooting, claims Henyard and her crew didn't just ignore her. They actively worked to silence her by locking trustees out of the buildings, disabling Zoom chats, and even ramping up the presence of police in riot gear. What police-involved shooting I'm talking? I'm sure many of you are already familiar with the fatal shooting of Alexis Wilson that happened on July 27, 2021. The shooting became a focal point for activists in the area, including Camilla Williams, who organized protests calling for accountability from the Dalton Police Department and Tiffany Henyard's administration. Williams says Henyard called for her arrest simply because she was too vocal at protests. Not only that, police were allegedly told to target Williams and her protester friends, escalating to threats, arrests, and intimidation tactics straight out of a bad cop show. Even during peaceful protests on public walks, Williams says the police under Henyard's command treated them like criminals, shouting at them that they were going to get locked up. The judge decided to let the First Amendment claim stand, allowing Williams to pursue charges of unlawful arrest and retaliation. So you can see why Henyard probably didn't want to talk about this in public view. So as usual, it's more of the same. It was a pretty exhausting meeting, even for people watching it. I can imagine the people who are in it, the residents of Dalton. It's clear the village is struggling with budget issues, missing vehicles, overdue paperwork, dogs attacking people. It's drowning in a leadership crisis. The trustees and mayor are so locked in the power struggle that at this point, all they're doing is trading insults, going back and forth to court, and the residents are just sitting there watching in helplessness. Mayor Henyard is willing to do anything to not get in trouble, even if that means pretending to be a big fan of Trump. This wasn't a regular meeting. This was just another episode of a high-stakes dysfunction in government, where personal vendettas take center stage over any semblance of governance.
More drama in Dalton tonight. The state agency that regulates local law enforcement in Illinois says Mayor Tiffany Henyard's handpicked police chief is not right now legally qualified to run the department.
What? So if you haven't checked out the last meeting that they had together, someone talked about background checks. Take a look.
No confirmation of background checks, no confirmation of salaries, and for some of the contract individuals, no confirmation of certificates of insurance, malpractice insurance. None of that information has been provided to the board.
With any position, anybody that has been in HR and have an HR background, you would have a background check ran. Nobody starts until the background clears. That's for any reputable company, business, or anything else. Any person that has an HR background would know that. It's nothing wrong with you putting them on here. Where's the background? Has it been ran, and is it back? Simple as that. We've made this mistake again. Why go back down this same road again with not running background and not making sure that these people are qualified for the position?
First of all, everybody up here is overqualified for their position. So please put some respect on their name, like I tell you to do me. As it relates to us here, we are African American.
So as you see, this recent letter from the Illinois Law Enforcement Trainings and Standards Board, when you look at it, this letter is essentially a formal "what the hell are you doing?" directed at the mayor, making it clear that her decision to appoint Burge is both premature and legally questionable.
Or even serve as an officer. Fox 32 obtained a letter sent by the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board to Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard on Friday regarding her appointment of Ronald Burge Sr. as Dalton Police Chief. Henyard appointed Burge as top cop in September over the objections of the majority of the Dalton trustees, who say she can't make appointments without their consent. In the letter, the deputy director of the Training and Standards Board tells Henyard that Burge is considered inactive because Dalton has not submitted the proper paperwork on his behalf, and because Burge has not completed a requalification shoot since 2021 when he was with the Dixmoor Police Department.
You can't make any of this up. The letter is addressing Henyard to giving Burge the authorization to be a police officer in Dolton. Doesn't make any sense. He's wearing a uniform, flashing a badge, even carrying a firearm, even though he's not an active police officer. The idea that the Henyard administration didn't even submit the necessary paperwork to activate his status. It's Henyard saying, I don't care about the rules, let me jump the gun, put Burge on the streets without bothering to go through the official channels. It's not just missed paperwork, it's a glaring safety and liabilities issue. So according to the letter, a law enforcement officer's certification must be activated with every new appointment before they can legally exercise any police authority or even carry a firearm in public. But yet we have Burge strolling around in a full uniform, basically cosplaying, playing dress up as a cop. He's not a police officer at this point. And to make matters worse, he hasn't completed the mandatory firearm recertification course since 2018, meaning he legally isn't allowed to carry a gun on duty. Just amazing.
For these reasons, he is currently not authorized to exercise law enforcement authority or to carry a firearm publicly, the letter says. We strongly encourage you to remove him from public service until an appointment is submitted and the board determines if he is eligible for reactivation and a training waiver. Last month, Dalton trustees were granted a restraining order, preventing Burge from serving without the board's approval. But after a chaotic village board meeting on Wednesday, the judge agreed with Henyard that Burge could serve as police chief on an interim basis for 30 days until a new chief is selected.
I'm assuming that judge did not know that Burge had no right to do anything as a police officer. Clearly, to give him that, background checks are very important.
The letter also includes a stern reminder to Henyard of your duty to conduct a thorough background check of Mr. Burge's criminal and employment history before making your determination of employment. Now, it's unclear just how much Burge has actually been working at the Dalton Police Department since his appointment.
He has been working. From sources that I've heard, he is basically tried to bully his way in, arguing with people. That's what I've heard. Basically just trying to put his authority as aggressively as he possibly can. So he has been walking around pretending he's a cop, even though right now he is not a cop.
I spoke tonight to Dalton trustee Jason House, who told me they will likely now go back to court with that letter and try to convince the judge that Burge should not even be serving in an interim capacity.
So at this point, we could say Henyard is either ignoring these facts or unaware of its importance. Either way, it's all terrible. But to put someone in uniform who could endanger himself or others due to a lack of current training is unexcusable. This letter is crystal clear, as she likes to say. Dalton's request to recognize Burge as an authorized chief executive is denied until the appropriate documentation is submitted and reviewed. So this letter is basically saying, get your stuff in order, get your paperwork in order, and follow the rules before you hand someone a badge and a gun. This is basic protocol, but Henyard's actions suggest a disregard for these norms, and I'm gonna do what I want first, then ask questions later. And this approach, leaving her administration looking as reckless as it always does. These attempts to remove and add chiefs and install new ones without proper procedures have painted this chaotic picture that shows her leadership style. Her approach seems to be involving cycling through police chiefs as if they're just interchangeable pieces, which have done little to destabilize the department and frustrate officers just trying to serve the community. The letter had to remind her it's her responsibility to conduct thorough background checks on anyone she appoints to a position of authority. It's as if the board had to go back to the basics to educate her, as she likes to say, reminding the mayor of things that should be common sense. Appointing someone to a role that is important as police chief isn't just a quick decision based on what you think is most loyal at this point. It's required vetting, approval, and ensuring that all standards are met. By bypassing these protocols, Henyard is not only bending the rules, but potentially putting the safety of Dalton residents at risk. So there's another nonsense move from Henyard. This whole situation with Burge acting as a cop before being formally activated is just emblematic of Henyard's leadership style. It's impulsive, it's rule bending, and apparently does not care about long-term repercussions. So this letter is more than just a warning, it's a wake-up call urging her to follow the established protocols rather than treat the mayor's office like her own personal playground. Everyone is getting really annoyed right now. Residents are growing more concerned about her decisions. Obviously, the trustees are as well. And his actions are starting to look less like governance and more like a chaotic game of let's see what I can get away with today.
Just so you know, you might have to write a report for me. Press charges on him, and they just in the middle of it, but if I got to press charges on them too, because they taking government property down. I didn't give that order. I didn't even know you were involved in this.
Welcome back to the channel. In this video today, we're going to be checking out the body cam footage of the Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard crying about her banners. For those who are not familiar with this story, check this out.
New welcome banners recently went up in that village.
But the company that created them says it has not been paid. It's another example of how taxpayer funds are being mishandled by the mayor.
They're a new addition on a busy Sibley Boulevard. Bright new welcome banners with different messages and a picture of Mayor Tiffany Henyard, her self-titled Super Mayor written underneath. We asked some residents to weigh in on the banners.
I think the allocation of funds should go where most needed. The banner would be at the bottom of my list if I ran a town.
It's obviously self-promotion. I think she fashions herself as she's imagining herself as some kind of reality show star.
The banners cost about $19,000, but the vendor says they have yet to be paid for them and other items totaling more than $85,000. Mosca Design emailed us a copy of the unpaid bill. It dates back to November 2023. Trustee Tammy Brown says the banners were never approved by the village board.
They don't make any sense at all. They're all of the mayor. It's okay to have a banner that says welcome to Dalton, but you don't need to have the mayor's face posted.
So these banners are there to promote Tiffany Henyard and her brand and image so she can get reelected. They cost a lot of money that probably could have went to other things. And a lot of people are really annoyed by it, realizing that it's really, again, for her self-promotion. So this video that we're going to be checking out, this is actually from September. So you're going to be seeing some familiar faces. You're going to see Tiffany Henyard, you're going to see Kamal Woods, you'll see Mr. Dots, the Dots guy, and you will see Burge. This was when he was first appointed to be chief, even though he has no reason to be chief because he is not even active to be a police officer. I guess we didn't know that until 2 days ago. So you're going to see the whole gang there, and they're going to stop this company that was hired by the trustees and Keith Freeman to take these banners down. Let's get into it. So right now it's muted. You'll see this police officer approach the scene and see the whole gang doing what they usually do, be really annoying.
Did you guys call for someone? You did? Okay, they're sending another unit. What else did you guys want to do? Oh, no hablo inglés, hablo español. ¿Qué está pasando?
Pagaron por quitar las banderas.
Ok.
Y en la mañana con el que hablé, me dio el número de un policía que teníamos problemas que le habláramos. Le hablé y me dijeron que iban a mandar a alguien. Porque nos están diciendo que si seguimos quitando nos van a meter a la cárcel o nos van a dar algo.
Pero ¿quién les dio a ustedes el permiso o la orden?
So, like I said, they were told, they were contracted to take the banners down, start taking them down. And obviously, someone probably told Tiffany Henyard, she, with her group of cronies, came up to stop them. So this is where we are right now.
Something's going on with these guys?
Yeah, they basically taking down my signs.
Yeah,
and I just asked him who told y'all to take them down. He called his boss for it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just...
So I told him to send, Keith don't work for the village no more. He's not the VA, Michael Smith is.
So this is, again, back to that contention where she said she fired Keith Freeman even though the board did not approve this firing. And she tried to hire Michael Dots as the village administrator, even though the village didn't approve Michael Dots as village administrator. So this is back in September. So I want you guys to have a good idea of the timing, but you already see that she is imposing her will, saying they're taking my signs down, even though if there's taxpayer money, she did not use her own funds for these signs. And the trustees at this point have majority rule, and the fact that Keith Freeman is still the village administrator. So what she's saying right now isn't accurate at all.
So I said, who gave y'all the order to take the sign down? How y'all getting paid?
Oh, okay.
They're our signs, but you know, they're my signs. So why are you taking them down?
Okay, so ella lo que me explica, ella es la mayor. Y me dice que él ya no tiene derecho a dar órdenes, él ya está despedido.
Es que la verdad a mí me demandan hacer el trabajo.
Sí.
Yo no, la verdad yo no, ¿qué puedo decirle?
So how many have they already taken down?
They took down all of them.
All of them.
So everything from White Castles all up to six.
Now, the interesting thing is, Krigley, I think that's who he is right there, the one that's talking. He's been laid off. So there's no reason for him to even be around there. But again, they're out in the public street or whatever. But it's interesting that he's still walking around with the mayor, even though he was laid off. He does not work for the village anymore.
So Keith that gave him the...
Yeah, I'll press the charges on Keith, just so you know. You might as well write a report for me. Press the charges on him, and they just in the middle of it. But if I got to press charges on them too, because they taking government property down. I didn't give that order.
I didn't even know you were involved in this. I just heard about signs. Yeah. And it wasn't even my call, but I stopped.
Yeah. No, they taking down signs. For what?
So you're really going to press charges on a contractors, a company that was contracted to do work, you're going to press charges on them? As if they're stealing the signs? And just embarrassing.
Paying them. Wait. Y'all going to do
so ya le pagaron a usted?
No sé, yo mandé a mi patrón a hacer el trabajo.
¿Quién es su patrón?
Ya habló con ella.
He said his boss spoke to you already?
Yeah, he did. He put him on the phone.
Oh, he did?
He sent him the email that whoever gave him the order.
Okay,
about the sign.
So why would you want to press charges on these men if you already talked to their boss and clearly there was an arrangement that you were not aware of? But why would you still try to press charges? Doesn't make any sense.
I want all my signs because he got all my signs in his truck.
pero me dicen el que me pagó que no se las dé yo, o sea, yo no sé qué estoy haciendo ni qué puedo hacer. O sea, a mí me pagan nada más por hacer el trabajo.
Sí, sí, sí.
O sea,
Pero
no...
esos banners y signs son de ella.
Okay.
Entonces, a usted le pagaron por quitarlos, no por llevárselos. ¿Sí me entiende? So, de igual manera se los puede dar a ella, pero le van a mandar ahorita el correo electrónico.
Sí, van a
para
hablarlo
que
con él.
Okay. I'm like, well, you're getting paid to remove them, not to keep them. So, you know what I'm saying? So he could very well give them back. So, ¿se los puede dar para atrás?
¿Cómo? Que venga, que van a mandar a un señor.
Oh, they said they're going to send someone and then they're going to... Okay.
Que venga él,
Okay.
porque yo no...
Porque he dice remove de quitar. Eso, okay. So, okay, ahorita que venga, he's calling someone, I don't know who's coming. Maybe who's his rep. I don't know.
It don't matter. That is my property. I just want
Es su
my property.
propiedad de ella. Dice que nada más quiere sus signs.
It's not her property. They're taxpayers' property. The taxpayer money that she used for these big, gaudy signs to promote herself and her brand. All of a sudden now she's pretending like it's her property. Now she said government at one point, but now it's her signs, her property.
Did you say sí?
Put them out.
Sí, los puedes, ya. Son ustedes, ya hizo su trabajo, los quitó, ¿verdad? Si quiere ya ahorita pare, pero porque va a haber más problemas. Estos van a querer demandar. Pero entrégueselos porque a usted le pagaron por quitarlos, no por quedárselos. So, de igual manera, sí, déjela. No se meta usted en medio porque estos se van a querer demandar para ya sé, hay un pedo.
Yo la verdad nomás.
Sí, hay problemas. Son nada más déselos, ella sabrá lo que hace con ellos. Usted le pagaron por, ahí dice remove es quitarlos, no por destruirlos.
No, a mí no me mandan por destruirlos.
Ok.
Nada más por quitarlos, nada más.
Está bien, pero ahorita que manden el correo electrónico para que usted quede al margen.
Sí, porque ahí me mandan para...
No, yo sé. Pero ¿sabe quién es ella, verdad? Es la mayor. Mayor, como está arriba de la mera cabecilla del gobierno de Dolton. I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'll write your, don't worry about it, I'll write your report. Okay. So what's his name? Is Keith Freeman? Yeah, okay.
You know, my kid's the new VA. Everybody playing this little tug of war, who in charge, but no one's calling anybody.
I'm like, I just work here.
No, not you.
I don't even know.
I know.
I don't know what's going on. You have a chief, you have another. Yeah. So I'm going to do my thing and that's it. Yeah. Okay, so as long as you get your signs back, I'll write to the report and I know, that is.
Y'all all those signs.
But I told him, I'm like, well, it says remove, not destroy, so give him that. That's her property, so give it back. And
Unfortunately, I couldn't get an accurate translation for Spanish that at least I can trust. But essentially, these guys were just complaining that they were told to do this. They had a message from their boss telling them to go and take the banners down. And obviously, with Henyard being there, was a big confusion. But essentially, they didn't have anything to do with this. They were asked to do it, and they were doing it. And Henyard was giving them a hard time. Again, going back to the idea of trying to charge them for a crime is so ridiculous. But that's just essentially what was going back and forth between the cop and the workers, and her translating for him and obviously telling them what Henyard was saying for the most part.
Sí ve las fotos, ¿verdad? Es ella en la foto. Es ella. Sí, es ella, es la mayor. No, es que ahorita andan con un montón de chismes y todo. So, yo le voy a hacer un reporte a ella solo para que trate de saber quién demandar a él. Pues déjelo usted para que usted no quede. No, ya no, ya. Cuando lo manden a hacer algo a Dolton, ya no venga.
Yeah, I got his number.
The boss number? Okay. I'm like, whenever they send you to do something for Dolton, don't do it.
They all they gonna do is tell them not to send it. They keep paying them.
It don't matter. We entitled to it. We get the lawyers involved. That's all.
More lawyers.
That's great. That's great, Tom.
As you can see here, this is the start of the back and forth where there seemed to be a fight with who's going to be village administrator, who's going to be police chief, the lawyers. I mean, the lawyers always been involved, but this is where the back and forth and double meetings. One meeting is at the park district, the other meeting is at Village Hall. I mean, as of late, all the meetings now are going to be at the park district. But this is the beginning of the true divide when no one knows what's going on. Henyard wanted to bring her loyal group in without any board approval is why she's keep falling into these situations. And later on, we'll see Burge as he appears. And even though he has no right to be a police officer, even at that point, this was back in September.
Let me just start my light. Go ahead.
You down there?
What?
Down there. I was trying to call you, but it's not there.
Oh. Yeah, hey, TX.
Alright.
Damn, I thought that was my phone ringing. You're not gonna catch me twice.
Hello? Hey. They're taking down her signs, and I just happened to get caught in the middle. I was coming to like assist somebody, and I didn't, about the signs, whatever. So now, you know what? He's here. Let me let you go.
Oh, there you see the big guy, Mr. Burge, Ron Burge, that is not active as a police officer. He should not be wearing that uniform at all.
¿Ya se los dio todos? ¿Ya se los dio todos?
Yes.
He gave you all of them? Yeah. Okay.
What happened? Okay. Just one. Okay. Sam, gotta go.
He told him to just go. Keep going what? Oh, for him to leave. I thought keep going, yeah. So for him to leave.
All right.
Okay.
So what the email at?
El correo electrónico.
We changed the email. I don't know. We didn't yet. Can you send it real
Lo pueden mandar el correo electrónico. La orden que a ustedes les llegó. A ustedes les dio su patrón. Sí. ¿Correcto? ¿A su patrón quién lo envió?
Ya no sé decirle, pero ya hablaron con mi patrón que le va a mandar el correo de ellos a ellos.
¿A ellos? He said he spoke to his boss and he said he was going to send it to you. No ha mandado nada. He says he doesn't know, so just... No se preocupe, nomás vos tengo que hacer el reporte. No se preocupe. So, yeah. You want to, let me take, yeah, you don't want to let me take, se los doy para atrás. I'll give it back, but I want to take this for the report.
A lot? 40, a bunch of them, yeah. Like 40, 50. Put them in, the market guys.
They were still in there.
It doesn't make sense for DeMarcus to be doing this because he was laid off. He doesn't work for the village anymore. So why is he still following orders from the mayor? This is why Henyard keeps falling into these problems. She doesn't follow the rules at all. And it's really loud about it. She's not even good at hiding it.
Ban, but I'm like, since this says remove banners, if that was the order, I'm like, well, it says remove, not destroy, so he gave them back to her. Okay, she has her signs.
Correct. Okay.
So it says that. So I'm going to do a report for her.
Correct. Right.
So he's leaving.
Have a good day.
Ándale, que les vaya bien, ¿ok? Ándale, se pueden ir. Que les vaya bien. Ándale, bye-bye. Bye.
All right. All right, everybody's clear.
Yeah, all right. I'll do that report. All right, thank you. Yep, sure, you're welcome.
So Henyard again, not following the rules, doing things that doesn't make a lot of sense. Even though there are employees that were laid off, they still work there. Burge wasn't active as a police officer, let alone trying to be police chief. Remember earlier on, one of the issues in the court that Burge still had certain types of, he still had his uniform and badge, did not bring that back, even though he was told that he was not the chief at that point. Also, there's employees, apparently there's sources saying that there's employees hiding cars they were supposed to bring back to the village. They didn't bring them back. This is the kind of nonsense that we just keep getting into when we talk about Tiffany Henyard and her nonsense. So
please come out, Thornton Township, because we need you more than ever. Right now, they have an actual election called a caucus, a one-day election, whereas you normally would go to the ballot box and vote for your person.
They can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls.
What do you do tonight if you don't get the Democratic Party's nomination?
What do you mean? I will be victorious tonight. You will see. My people are here. They're not gonna go nowhere. The show will go on.
So they can be heard. You don't do like that. Let the people go in the dictatorship. Get out. Get out. Do what at the township. The motion has been seconded. All in favor of the Napoleon inflation and taking the first consolidated say aye. Out of here. She's out of here. She's out of here. She's out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. She's out of here. She's out of here. She's out of here. Get out of here.
We won't stand for it.
Tiffany, tell me what happened.
None of y'all vote. The police
Tiffany, tell us what happened. This ain't your crime.
You just did an illegal meeting.
Who was the slave?
A packed gym at the Homewood Flossmoor Park District erupted in cheers as the fiery caucus denied incumbent Tiffany Henyard, who's faced criticism over township spending, nominating State Senator Napoleon Harris instead as a Democratic challenger for the position.
I will be suing everybody tomorrow. This is illegal.
all right, folks, last night was an absolute train wreck for Tiffany Henyard. The Thornton Township Democratic Caucus wasn't just a loss, it was a full-on political meltdown. And the cherry on top of this disastrous Sunday, she didn't even have a certified assessor on her slate. It's like, how can you fumble that hard? Not having an assessor meant that she wasn't even allowed to be on the ballot. That is not just a bad day at the office, but that's the kind of mistake that ends careers. So as you see, Henyard is understandably salty. She's mad, she's emotional, and there's a lot of finger pointing happening. She's claiming some shady tactics were used against her. But let's be real for a second. This isn't just about the caucus. This is about years of bad decisions coming home to roost.
This is the biggest. This is the biggest. This is a fraud.
To fight the result.
This is criminal. I would easily say hundreds of people that were not allowed in to be a part of the process.
You can only make so many enemies before they all team up and use a Thanos snap to turn your career into dust. And that's exactly what happened here. Tiffany Henyard has been burning bridges like she's been speed running a game on how fast can I alienate everyone. Employees burned, fellow policymakers torched, business owners completely nuked. Politics is all about alliances, and Henyard seems to have skipped that lesson entirely. When you treat everyone around you like they're disposable, eventually you're the one that gets thrown out. Even the most loyal crew can't save you from when you've already turned the entire basically Southland against you. However, Henyard and her team believe that there was some voter suppression happening.
She called the vote unfair and illegal before leaving.
All the people outside, they let not one person in.
It's one thing to win, but let's do it properly and let the people really have a voice. The people's voice was taken today.
Henyard's allies also raised questions about why so many people were not let into the building. They say she may seek to be a write-in candidate.
They wouldn't let none of the people in. This is absurd and something needs to be done about it. This is criminal.
I think it's very unfair that I don't get a chance to make the decision of who I want where.
And who did you want to vote for?
I wanted to vote for Tiffany.
What was the process supposed to be?
the process was followed and it came out the way it was supposed to.
Here's how it all started. More than 200 people outside waiting to enter Homewood Flossmoor's Park District.
But the people who were attending the party are the ones who was in there voting. That's unfair to us residents standing out here in the cold.
Cheers from Harris's supporters and outrage from Henyard's supporters.
I think it's absolutely absurd that you have all these people out here. You have the seniors out here.
Total voter suppression.
Absolutely.
How you win, stand on your record, what you're going to do for the people, what you've already done, and let the people elect you. You can't do stuff like this.
So this is where the story gets a little messy. After her colossal L at the Thornton Township Democratic Caucus, Tiffany Henyard is throwing out the last-ditch Hail Mary, voter suppression. She is claiming that her supporters were not let into the building to vote. However, there wasn't just her people outside. I got this video from a fellow content creator. You guys seen her in the township meetings. Apparently, even folks who didn't want to vote for her were actually left out in the cold.
They still got the door locked, door closed. It's supposed to open at 6:30.
Hey, had y'all IDs out?
So what the hell happened here? Henyard is coming in hot, calling the vote unfair and illegal, and promises to sue. Even her main dude, Keith Price, dropped this line here: the people's voice was taken today.
Criticizing the voting process, Keith Price calling what happened an atrocity.
Last night meeting, to me, was the biggest form of voter suppression I've ever seen in my life.
As the Democratic Party committeeman, Harris holds the right to decide whether the nominee is determined through a caucus or primary. Price says this tactic was deceitful and estimates at least 200 people were still standing outside of the cold waiting to get in when the meeting began.
It's a bit dramatic, but is it true? So this looks like something that can obviously generate her base, but we got to talk about reality. Suing is one thing, but proving voter suppression, that's extremely difficult. So first off, Henyard got to show receipts. Did someone deliberately lock her supporters out of the building? Was there a shadowy cabal of anti-Henyard operatives twirling their mustaches at the door? Or more likely, this was just a dumpster fire of poor planning, that people were still going into that building. If people from both sides couldn't get in and it was really slow or it was really packed, then this starts to look less like a targeted suppression and more like some logistical issues that affected this situation. Now, this caucus hasn't been set in a very long time, decades. Usually it just goes by a primary.
There are perception issues with it that are right to get attention. Will the court look at those perception issues? Probably not, but the voters certainly should.
Bill Cadigan is a former state board of elections chairman who says the caucus system is legal in Illinois, as is holding multiple elected positions.
No, it does not look like good government, and it looks like more of the same in Thornton Township.
But again, let's dive into what she'll need to make her case. First, the basics. Were there fire codes or capacity limits that kept people out? Did volunteers running the caucus make random decisions about who got in? Were there complaints filed during the event? If her team can't come up with hard evidence, this lawsuit is going to sink fast. She's going to have to find those receipts. And that's one of the biggest problems with Tiffany Henyard. She claims that she's going to have receipts and never provides the receipts. She keeps saying, I'm going to talk. I'm going to tell my truth. I'm going to tell my story. And we're still waiting for this story. At this point, she has lost the township. When is she going to start talking? Because if she doesn't, she's going to probably lose her mayoral seat at Dolton. Even if Henyard proves that there were some issues, here's the problem. She has to show that it cost her the nomination. Courts aren't just going to overturn an election just because things were a little chaotic. Yeah, it looked weird. I mean, when I watched it, I thought, is this how it's supposed to go? Is this a definitive thing that no one can complain or no one can argue that she didn't get a fair shake? It looked weird to me. But as some people in the comments said, that this is how some caucuses go, they can get a little crazy. She's going to have to connect the dots, as some people would like to say, by saying, hey, there was a lot of people outside and they were all Henyard supporters. And if they would have gotten in, I would be still running the township right now. And without that kind of information, this game is over before it even starts. There's so many legal battles in this situation evolving around Tiffany Henyard, drains time and money. And obviously public perception goes bouncing back and forth. I think most people are happy that Henyard is out as township supervisor. Henyard already got this reputation for, let's say, not playing nice with others, using the tactics that were used on her last night. Jumping into lawsuit may just come off as desperate, like she's throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. On the flip side, if she actually could pull this off and expose real voter suppression, that is a tremendous plot twist. And mind you, she was able to beat the recall a couple years ago. So this lawsuit is either going to be a clutch play for Henyard's career or just another chapter in her spiral down the abyss. If she can prove that this wasn't bad logistics, but a deliberate attempt to block her supporters, she might turn the tables. But if this falls flat, she's just wasting her time while her political ship sinks. Either way, this is shaping up to be a chaotic legal situation here. And honestly, we'll check it out. We'll see what's going on. I think this saga is far from over. But let's go back to just the general situation. Henyard likes to talk about educating people. This is her go-to buzzword phrase. We all have seen it. She wants to empower the community. She wants to educate the masses. It all sounds great. But the problem is she couldn't figure out how to get her people in that building on time for the caucus. And let's not forget about the certified assessor she completely whiffed on, including in her slate. You'll think the person who's all about education might have, I don't know, educated herself on the bare minimum requirements for running in a political race. This wasn't some complex hidden rule buried in print. This is politics 101. No certified assessor, no ballot slot. And that mistake didn't just cost her the ballot, it cost her the entire game. A job where you were making almost $250,000 gone. It's like you showed up for the final exam without a pen. Sure, you might have known the answers, and I don't think she does. But if you don't have the tools, you're still going to fail. And we cannot ignore the logistics here. This is the most important thing in your political career. If you can't coordinate getting your team to a caucus, how can you coordinate on an entire township? This is the problem with Tiffany Henyard, just a level of incompetence. These are the details that show that whether someone's ready to lead or not. And unfortunately for Henyard, last night proved that she wasn't ready. And these consequences hit hard, especially in her pocketbook, because again, $250,000 salary is potentially gone. So the question is, if you can't handle this stuff, how can you handle the big stuff? That's why the township is in some kind of gridlock. So some people may say that Napoleon Harris kind of just used some gamemanship, used laws and certain rules to get her out.
And you're calling tonight's power move illegal.
Guys, have a good night, eat the food, and be merry.
Napoleon Harris, the committeeman, the senator, has them stalling because he is in bed with them. He's their puppet master. He's telling them, don't go to board meetings, wait on the assurance.
And Henyard believes that's not fair. And this is the cold, hard truth about politics. Relationships are the currency of power. You don't rise to the top alone, and you definitely can't stay there without backup. Henyard's downfall is a textbook case of what happens when you treat people like crap. Every fight, every feud, every lockout of a township employee, all the lockouts with the trustees, it all adds up. And when the time comes for people to either back you or bury you, many of them are already holding the shovels. This isn't a new story. We've seen it with politicians, CEO, and every reality TV show villain who thought they can win without playing nice. For Henyard, the walls are closing fast. She has alienated employees who kept the township running, fought with policymakers who could have been allies, and ticked off business owners who fund campaigns. And now when she's in a fight of her political life, she's looking around and realizing that there is no cavalry coming. When you make too many mistakes, you're like that guy in a zombie apocalypse who thinks he doesn't need a group until he is surrounded and eaten alive. Politics thrives on collaboration, and without it, you are finished. Now, Henyard does have some loyal supporters, but it looks like it's not enough. A small squad can't stand against a tidal wave of opposition that Henyard has built up herself. This is a universal rule. Treat people like trash, and eventually they'll team up and take you out. No one is invincible, and the second your enemies smell weakness, they will pounce on you. So what's next? Obviously, more drama. Henyard saying that she's suing, which isn't shocking. She's already pulled that move before, and she did win that recall situation. But I think she probably had more public support back then. Now that support maybe evaporated faster. Or there's people who are watching these news reports and maybe believe that she's being targeted as voter suppression. Suing might delay the inevitable, but turning this around feels like a Hail Mary, and it looks like there's no one in the end zone. She's still the mayor of Dalton for now, but even that title is starting to feel shaky. So we're gonna be seeing some legal news in the next couple of days. Obviously, she still has to be a supervisor. She's a lame duck one. She still has to do her job for the next couple of weeks. And also, she has to fight for her mayoral job. So we'll see. We'll follow it as we always do.
Some of y'all over there that's recording, y'all black. Remember that. Remember you black. It's the first thing you talk. Don't never forget you black. Don't never forget you black.
Put a little something on social media. Watch how they run with it. And it's not only
white folks that are doing it. We got the leading African-American niggas who are doing it. I'm going to say it again. We got the leading African-American niggas, black on black crime.
But I watch YouTube and I see what you guys are out here doing for $1, and the things that you're doing for $1, you need to get on your knees and pray. Get on your knees and pray, because that's not how you make money.
Well, that rally was something. We're going to dive back into the chaotic saga of the Super Mayor, Tiffany Henyard, and her ride or die supporters, Kamal Woods and Andrew Holmes. They actually spoke. I couldn't believe it. So if you ever wonder what happens when politics turn into reality TV, this is it. On one side, you have Henyard, who's taken her fair share of hits lately, claiming conspiracy, voter suppression, and on the other hand, you have her loyalists, Woods and Holmes, who are either hyping her up and backing her up or dodging their own issues. It's amazing to me because it doesn't seem like it ever stops. Kamal Woods, Henyard's boyfriend and a Thornton Township employee, and that's the only reason I even talk about him on this channel. I really don't care about their relationship. I really don't care. The only issue that we have, at least on this channel, is that Henyard has a lot of accusations and Kamal Woods works for the township. If he didn't, I wouldn't care. Me personally, I don't really care what people do behind closed doors, because let's be honest, a lot of people have a lot of messy situationships. I'm sure you know someone, a friend and a family member, that has a crazy situationship. The problem is when you hire a significant other, it affects public service, right? It affects residents. That's the problem. In this situation, Kamal Woods finally speaks out, and I guess you can call it a public address. They had the media there, and he is out there pledging to go broke for this person. He's willing to go broke for her lady. It's a bold move, considering the township is already dealing with unpaid bills and services grinding to a halt. Very interesting stuff. But then you got Andrew Holmes, a self-styled public servant, basically a wannabe Al Sharpton, who has managed to turn this rally speech into a masterclass on identity politics, talking about the blacks. We are tearing each other apart, while conveniently ignoring his own baggage. So together, they're Henyard's last line of defense in this political issue, this political storm that's been spiraling faster than any soap opera plot twist. This isn't just politics. This has gone on to a full-blown spectacle. There's accusations of locked doors, rigged elections, backroom deals are flying, but so far, hard evidence is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, services are frozen, trustees are ghosting meetings, residents are caught up in this crossfire. So this is the issue. Thornton Township has become the wildest show in town, considering that Henyard is the mayor of Dalton as well. But we're going to stick with the township right at this moment. So as you can see, Henyard is extremely desperate, but she is going on a full offensive on what's going on here. In my opinion, the way this should have went down, instead of having a caucus where she got booted out, they should have had a primary. They should have had the votes. Have everyone who won to vote, and this wouldn't be happening right now. But they didn't. They decided to do the caucus. Now they have a reason to complain, a reason to say this was voter suppression. So before the big rally, she went on Facebook to air her grievances, and she did not hold back. This is like a political soap opera meets motivational TED Talk or something. Sprinkled a little bit of chaos for good measure. First, Henyard dove right into the drama of the caucus that happened December 3rd, where she claims it was a full-blown throwback to the 1800s. Who knows? I wasn't there in 1800. But according to her, it wasn't just voter suppression. It was a practical, hostile takeover.
On December 3rd, they came and had a party at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, guys. They had a little, like I say, secret squirrel party at 5 o'clock. This how you know they can't beat you. This how you know they was going to cheat. This how you know it was a hostile takeover. And what I won't stand for is people bullying other people. I cannot stand a bully. I don't like when you can't beat me. You put all these things in place to try to suppress the voters.
She painted this picture of seniors with oxygen tanks, walkers, wheelchairs, left freezing outside the venue while her 500-strong army of supporters chanted to be let in.
We was freezing, guys, freezing. People couldn't feel their fingers and toes. We huddled together to stay warm. Are y'all listening to me? We have footage of this. That's how bad it was. And to them Dalton trustees, y'all gonna reap what you sow. You don't treat people like that, especially your community. Dalton was out there too. And y'all did that to your own. So all I'm saying to y'all, for all them trying to chase after titles, because they title holders, and not willing to do the work and not willing to earn it, come on. We gotta want better.
And if you think she's gonna let that slide, think again. She made it clear she's not there to play nice with anyone she sees as a part of the problem. So Henyard went after the two big dogs. This is Napoleon Harris, the state senator, and Thaddeus Jones, the mayor of Kalamazoo, accusing him of orchestrating this caucus conspiracy to block her and her people. She even claimed that non-township residents were mysteriously allowed inside while actual voters were left out in the cold.
Now I need y'all voices and y'all backing to fight against voter suppression, to fight against people that has tried to gridlock government, because they the puppet master. I've been telling y'all this since day one. Over there at the township, they are controlled by Napoleon Harris, by Thaddeus Jones. These are all the people. I've been telling y'all this for a couple years. And now y'all get to see it with your own two eyes. But on that day, nobody should have got treated like that.
This isn't a democracy, she said. This is a dictatorship, which is hilarious because that's what a lot of people think that she's been doing. Very dramatic and very entertaining, obviously. But wait, there's more. Henyard isn't just shouting into the void. She's asking for action. She is calling on her supporters to sign affidavits to back her in this upcoming lawsuit to challenge what she calls blatant voter suppression. She compares herself to a gladiator fighting alone in the middle of the political coliseum. And while you have to give her some points for this imagery, it's hard to notice this is basically a full-on PR blitz campaign to try to reframe their narrative. She may have some points here. We'll see exactly how the courts decide, was this voter suppression? The meeting was 7 minutes. Were there barriers for people to come in? These are the questions that I guess the courts are going to have to answer, and both sides are going to bring their opinions and bring some evidence, but that's where it is. Now, Henyard also touched on her history of public service. She claimed that she's been fighting for the community for years, while her political rivals sit back and run a dictatorship. She pulled out the classic "I'm one of you" card, reminding her audience that she grew up in the area and she understands their struggles. And Henyard's vowing to fight for voters' rights, framing this as a battle not just for her, but for democracy itself.
I thought this was a democracy. It sounded like dictatorship to me. It sounded like voter suppression to me. It sounded like gender discrimination to me. All these things happen, guys. All these things happen right in front of my eyes. And other people too.
It's bold, it's dramatic, and it's classic Tiffany Henyard. Even though Henyard has a long history of using the system to enrich herself and to push out her political rivals and anyone who disagrees with her. But like I said before, the tables have been turned and now she is pissed off. So Henyard is doubling down. She's leaning into this fighter persona, and she's going to take her fight to her critics and to the courtroom. So she has this rally, and there's only two people that I want to show you guys who's able to speak, and I found them extremely interesting. It was Kamal Woods and Andrew Holmes. First, let's go with Kamal Woods. Tiffany Henyard's boyfriend and Thornton Township employee took the stage at her rally, and let me tell you, this was quite a ride. Imagine a mix of passion defense, deflection, enough vague inspirational talk to make you wonder if he's running for office or just auditioning for another motivational speaker gig.
Tell them about your experience. Hey, I don't really do all the public speaking. I say everybody, hey, have a good day when y'all leave here. Don't let nothing take your peace from you. Don't never let nothing take your peace from you. But that day, in that room, and the people that still standing on the side recording, and the way you put it out there on the news, y'all dead wrong. Some of y'all over there that's recording, y'all black. Remember that. Remember you black. It's the first thing you talk. Don't never forget you black. Don't never forget you black. Don't never forget that they took your right to vote that day. You ain't gotta hide. They took your vote. You from Harvey, right? They took your vote too. You know what happened. Tell them the truth. You don't know how it feels to get beat down every day, 365 days out of the year. She gonna outwork you. She gonna outwork you. She gonna outwork you. You gonna keep chasing her. You gonna keep following the story. You gonna keep following the story. That's your job. Her job is to take care of the community. It started right here in this room. That's right. In 2021, the dream began to revitalize Dalton. To revitalize Dalton, it started right here, in this room. In this room. You want to know the real story? Like she said, if you want the tea, get it from me. Get it from her. Go to her. If you're worth talking to, I see you. You looking dead at me. I see you. You part of the problem. You gonna tell the truth, tell the truth. It ain't no guy, it's a lady. You part of the problem. You part of the problem. I'm talking to you. You part of the problem. But everybody in this room, off her. They took y'all rights.
So first off, this man is absolutely dedicated to Tiffany Henyard. He made it clear he's standing by her no matter what, dropping lines like, I'll go broke for this one.
And all this story about, oh yeah, he married. Yeah, I'm going through a divorce. And been getting a divorce for the past 4 years. I'm going to give you my business since y'all want to broadcast it. Let me give you a little bit of it. But when it come down to it, hey, y'all make it happen. Y'all make it happen. My God, no. Why don't y'all let somebody have a voice like the people that's sitting in this room again and the people that's sitting at home right now? Because some people still got a voice and their voice gonna be heard. I hope y'all know their voice gonna be heard one way or other. One way or other. Because she got a vision and she gonna stand by it and I'm gonna stand by it with her. I don't care if I go broke. Every vision comes through.
Romantic? Sure. Relevant to the political issues right now? Not really. It seems like he's just trying to add some emotional weight to this rally, but it lands more like a sideshow to the main event. Then there's his attempt to rally the crowd about anecdotes about community unity, with history being erased from schools. The bold pivot that seems a little disconnected from the voter suppression claims that Henyard is talking about right now. Instead of providing concrete details or addressing the accusations head on, Woods throws out a mix of platitudes and about standing together and vague warnings about what's at stake, which is very odd considering how Henyard handles her business.
All over there that's recording y'all black. Remember that. Remember you black. It's the first thing you talk about. Don't never forget you black. Don't never forget you black. Don't never forget that they took your right to vote that day. You ain't got every block in Dalton, Thornton Township, 190,000 residents. They say, oh, what does Kamal do at Thornton Township? What don't I do? Right. I ain't got to prove nothing to nobody to say about my man. Yeah. Oh, Thornton Town, we pay him 100,000. That's a fraction of what I used to make. Come on. I drop everything to make sure that she come home every night. Check y'all records. Right. You can afford anything. If y'all really want to know the truth, really check the records. Right. Check the records. Ain't nobody travel from Dalton. It's a budget over at Thornton Township for travel. Yeah. Right. If you travel off a budget that they said before you. Every trustee voted for it. Right. You ain't going to travel abroad, I'm taking a vacation. No, that's work. That's work. You want to go get information to bring it back. Because sometimes if it don't come to you, you got to go to it. She's not running from y'all because she don't want to tell y'all no story. Y'all scare people. Right. You pulled up in front of my house where I live at. That's not her address. That's my address. Where I live at. You know how many creeps come over there, take pictures in front of the crib? That's where I live at. I want to rest in peace, not rest in peace. Right. No. Y'all really gotta get it together as black people. Unite. If y'all not gonna do anything, lock arms. Right.
We've seen the meetings. We've seen the meetings in Dalton and the township. I don't think Henyard really cares about standing together unless you 100% agree with her. If you are loyal to her, she'll stand with you. If you're not at all, she's going to give you a problem. But the highlight, though, it has to be when he calls out the political system for its hypocrisy while forgetting Henyard's own issues. The irony is almost poetic. This is the guy tied to someone accused of locking opponents out and shifting meeting venues last minute. But now he's outraged by others doing the same. Self-awareness is just, he doesn't have it. But at the end of the day, Kamal Wood's speech was heavy on theatrics, but light on substance. It's political theater at its finest, but does it move the needle for Henyard's cause? Probably not. This is the guy I really want to talk about. Andrew Holmes took the mic at Tiffany Henyard's rally, and I find it extremely interesting because the man does not talk, even though he's a trustee in Dalton. Not sure why he's there in the township, but he doesn't talk at all, doesn't bring anything to the table. He is just a statue there, which is interesting compared to meetings a couple years ago before that issue that happened in Las Vegas. He was one of the people that talked as much as any other trustee. But he took the mic, and let me tell you, this speech was a roller coaster of deflection, identity politics, and a bit of a nostalgia for civil rights leaders that I think he wished he was. And Holmes managed to talk about everything except the elephant in the room, the chaos surrounding Henyard. voter suppression claims, and his own questionable history.
It's not Cook County and it's not Crook County. It's the people who live in this county. In the state of Illinois. And they ask, oh, is Dr. King resting? Is Malcolm X resting? No, they ain't resting. With all the hell that's going on up in here in Illinois, and then you want to point fingers and you want to blame people, then you want to tell damn lies on people and try to downgrade people's name and try to downgrade what people do. They did that with Martin. They did that with Malcolm. They tried Farrakhan. They tried Flager. All of them failed. These shall fail. King walked many miles and many streets, not only in the state of Illinois, the county of Cook, but all across the United States. Social media has come so damn damaged that, you know, they send a message faster than you can tell the damn truth here in Illinois. And people take it and they run with it. Social media destroy friends, destroy brothers, destroy sisters, destroy families, destroy fathers who are trying to take care of their children. Put a little something on social media, watch how they run with it. And it's not only white folks that are doing it. We got the leading African-American niggas who are doing it. I'm going to say it again. We got the leading African-American niggas, black on black crime, that are doing it, trying to take others down. For what? When you try to lift people up, you try to help people, you got seniors crying, family won't go to even see their own relatives that are locked down and shut in. Family won't go see the seniors that are in the senior homes. The seniors don't even know their family until somebody strange come to your door and bring you a box of food or bring you a gift or say, hallelujah, have mercy, I'm your family. It's a damn disgrace the way we do each other. You get a job, but you try to destroy somebody on account of somebody say something. He say, she say. Who's on the elevator? Nobody with the way it's going right now today. It's just like shooting somebody on the street, shooting down. No, it ain't. Check out social media. That's the new gun. Social media is the gun that points at you and try to stop you from doing what you do. We've been beat down, struggled. What was the use of going to Black history in school, learning about how to advance? You tell your children today, this is what Martin did, this is what Malcolm did. But when you turn around in reality, when that brain start clicking, how? When they trying to destroy each other now. It's not the white man. That's old news. Check out the social media with the new news. Black on black crime. King walked so far. Now it's out here in Thornton Township. It was in Chicago. Think about it, Marquette Park. We got a new park. It's called Thornton Township Park. Look what was doing. Look what was happening. Have respect and decency, if not for you, but for your mother, your grandmother, your elderlies that are deceased and fought for the rights, and now you turn around on your own family and try to take away the damn rights.
So let's start with the obvious. Holmes leaned hard with identity politics. He invoked Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, drawing parallels between their struggles and the current political drama, which is, I don't think any of those people he just mentioned has any of the accusations that he has. But, you know, nice try, Andrew. This is not 1960s, and Henyard isn't marching on Washington. I know Henyard thinks that she is the next Martin Luther King Jr. I don't think a lot of people agree with that. It is a transparent attempt to shift the conversation from accountability to victimhood, and while it might fire up the crowd, it doesn't address the actual issues, like whether voter suppression actually happened or how Henyard lost control of the township. We're not talking about substance around here. And the thing is, while he had little vague comments about his situation, he refused to talk about his own controversies, especially what happened in Vegas. For someone who positions himself as a public servant, someone who is a public servant as a trustee of Dalton, dodging accountability for past instances, dodging the ability to even talk about what happened is peak hypocrisy. If you're going to take the stage and rally people, maybe start addressing your own issues first. What the hell happened in Vegas? Yes, no charges were filed, but you were a public servant. People want to know what happened. A statement, in your words. They voted for you. They're allowed to know. Now, if you were just a regular person, like you was not voted in anything, fine. Like it's no one else's business. But you're a public servant, and ignoring them just made it worse. Especially during those meetings, your body language was terrible. You looked like you wanted to be invisible, like you had a guilty conscience or something like that. And Holmes took an aim at social media, calling it the new gun to use to destroy reputations. Sure, social media can be toxic, But blaming it all for society's ills is just a lazy deflection. If anything, it's ironic he's using the same platforms to push his own narrative right now while condemning them. Instead of critiquing the media, maybe focus on the message or, I don't know, actual transparency. All you had to do was just talk, take your phone, and make your own video about the situation that happened in Vegas and fight for your own message. But you didn't do that. You didn't want to talk. You were mute. You lost your ability to talk. And when you do that, people just assume the worst. Do you really believe what Henyard is doing, or she's your only ally right now? And you have to stay with the person who's going to take care of you, and no one else is interested. So Henyard is there and you have to be loyal to her. Is that the only reason? But the big takeaway here is that this speech felt like a damage control for the crumbling issues right now. Holmes' rhetoric about Black history and community struggle, Holmes just followed the same tactic that Al Sharpton and a lot of these activists like to talk about Black history and the cultural struggle to ignore the systemic issues Henyard had in his administration. This is sidestepping. That's why a lot of people are kind of tired of the Democratic Party. They're tired of being fed platitudes when they want is real accountability and action. Holmes said a lot, but he didn't really say anything at all. It's speeches like this that leave me wondering, are we here for solutions or just a performance? Whatever it was, I don't think it did much to move the needle for Henyard or her supporters. Right now, her faith, it has to be in the court. Will the courts believe that there was enough evidence of voter suppression? All this stuff, all this emotional theatrics that Holmes and Henyard and Kamal Woods want to display may not mean anything. But do they have enough evidence that people were locked out, people were not able to come in, the people only Napoleon Harris team, were they the only ones that was able to be in that building? Unfortunately, instead of the caucus having a primary would have fixed all this because everyone would be able to vote, and most likely she probably would have lost that vote anyway. But the fact that they put this caucus in and the way it went down, gave Henyard some hope. And now she's on this media blitz on TV more often than before, talking to some of these news reporters. Big surprise, because remember, a couple of months ago, she didn't speak to anybody. The last time she talked to anyone was Roland Martin and Angela Lee, and that was terrible. So now she's back on TV, and now she's using this as a moment to say, hey, this was taken from me, and the people didn't truly decide it. So we'll see what happens in this situation.
The big bingo, I can't stress big bingo enough, man. Everybody be down here. There's over 500 people that come down here and be a part of that movement. People win air fryers, Keurigs, they want TVs, refrigerators, stoves, what else they need? Washer, dryers, you name it, it was down here. So any necessity that you needed, it was here on Big Bingo. Big Bingo.
Let's break this madness down piece by chaotic piece, because Tiffany Henyard still wants to play Big Bingo. Before we get into that, let's talk about this recent court ruling. A judge just ruled against her on her power grab for Dalton,
where a judge has sided with opponents of Mayor Tiffany Henyard in an ongoing power struggle. Henyard has tried to work around trustees by appointing her own village manager, attorney, and police chief. The trustees sued. Now a judge has entered an order that clearly states Henyard's picks for those positions are out.
This ruling tossed out her handpicked village manager, attorney, and police chief. The trustees sued to stop her power grab and won, delivering a major blow to Henyard's unchecked authority in Dolton. Essentially, the court just pressed the reset button on a video game, and I'm sure she's not happy about this, but this marks one of the significant losses Henyard has faced in the last few days, painting a picture of a leader scrambling to hold on to control. But it doesn't stop there. Obviously, Thornton Township, where she's a supervisor, is practically on life support right now. The doors are shut down, the buildings are closed, the doors are locked, the lights are off, and the residents and employees alike are standing outside looking lost and confused. So assistance programs for seniors and kids are just hanging by a thread. Over 100 workers are at risk of being laid off, or they're working from home. And the reason why is because Henyard and the trustees can't agree on anything. And now this is a back and forth political petty game to see who's going to win.
I am history. I am the 21st century history. I am your Rosa Parks, your Harriet Tubmans. I am that person. Somebody has to say, never, never, ever give up.
So no end in sight for this government shutdown in Thornton Township, and no layoffs in sight just yet.
But the funny thing is that Henyard, despite the fact that she's closed the doors, people can't walk in to take care of their things, try to get the services they need during the holiday season, she is still hosting a bingo night. Let's check out the graphic right here. They had to do a venue change because, attention, Thornton Township residents, due to unforeseen circumstances, Tonight's Big Bingo event has been moved to a new location. Don't worry, the fun, prizes, and the excitement will all be there. Be sure to join us for a great time, and we apologize for any inconvenience this change may cause. So by the time you see this, the Big Bingo would have already been done. People have already won their prizes. It's just hilarious. I mean, think about this. Let me repeat that. She is still hosting a bingo night. The township is grinding to a halt. Services are frozen. People's livelihoods are dangling by a thread. And Henyard's big move is let's host the bingo night. Big Bingo, a regular event that the seniors absolutely adore, a clever tool for Henyard to use to keep them happy while she tries to secure her spot as supervisor, even if right now she can't get on the ballot. So it's like your house is on fire. Instead of grabbing a fire extinguisher, she is going to tell everyone, hey, we're here to cook some marshmallows out here. You know that saying about bread and circuses. So instead of trying to figure out how to get the services back on track, Henyard isn't solving the problem. She's just distracting from the chaos, throwing the shiny prizes at people while the foundation crumbles beneath her feet. And you can see the flyer right here. It's her name, obviously, in the flashy text, like she's headlining at a Las Vegas residency. Tiffany Henyard's Big Bingo Night. Might as well have a tagline that says, come for the prizes and stay for the dysfunction. And always her line at the very bottom, we love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Let's circle back to the judge ruling in Dalton. She is losing. It's not just about her losing a round in court. It's a spotlight on how Henyard has pushed the boundaries of leadership in her role as mayor. She has been accused of bypassing the trustees, bending the rules and wielding power like it's her birthright, and the trustees sued to stop her and the court agreed. Her actions in Dalton were so blatant that even the judicial system, which often moves at a very slow pace, had to step in and say, you know what, this is too much. And then going back to the township, a government shutdown, seriously, during the holiday season. This is affecting real people, families who rely on these programs, seniors who need assistance, workers who might not see another paycheck. And again, I think they may be working from home, but still, Henyard is still finding a way to make it about her, suing the Democrats for leaving her off the ballot, and painting herself as a victim of some grand conspiracy. We'll see what happens with that lawsuit, but you would think at this point that she should try to do something to compromise, that both parties can compromise. Maybe you guys don't like each other. Obviously, there's a long list of issues and grievances, but just to keep the thing going, keep the township running, that they can come together and figure out the situation with the insurance. That you don't have grandpas and grandmas at the door, can't open the door, can't get in, can't get the services that they need. When does it stop? When is the breaking point? When is the end game? I know the first comment, and the most popular comment in all these videos are, when is she going to get arrested? Let's think about it. What if she doesn't get arrested for the next couple of weeks or next couple of months? What happens to the people in the township? I mean, right now, the people need these services. Is there a way for everyone to come together to get this one here, get one little victory? I mean, we'll see. It doesn't look good though. Which brings us back to the bingo. What does it say? Let's talk more about that bingo. So what it says about a leader who can't prioritize basic governance, but will go all out to host community event. It's like holding a pizza party in the middle of famine. Sure, people will show up, but the underlying problem is there's still starvation. Hosting bingo while your township is spiraling is peak absurdity, and you cannot ignore the optics. He's standing in line for township services only to find the doors locked and saying closed until further notice. But then imagine going through your social media and seeing a brightly lit bingo flyer with Tiffany Henyard's face on it. It's insulting, it's tone deaf, and it's the kind of thing that makes you wonder if she's living in the same reality as the rest of us. But who knows what's going to happen? I think there will be a special meeting tomorrow, but it won't be in the Thornton Township building. It'll be in another location, I guess, with the other trustees, Carlisle and Gonzalez. So we'll continue to follow this story, but I could not believe that she will still continue to do big bingo despite all of this. You know what? I am not surprised. Of course, this is happening. Let me know what you guys think about the situation. Put in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.